Chapter 1581. Whoosh! Lu Ming dashed towards the tornado. What's that kid doing? He opened his eyes after seeing the treasure. He's courting death. Some of them sneered when they saw Lu Ming dashing towards the tornado. However, when Lu Ming approached the tornado, he stopped, causing some of them to burst into laughter. They thought that Lu Ming had opened his eyes after seeing the treasure and wanted to rush over, but he was afraid at the last minute. At this moment, Lu Ming's lips curled into a sneer. His glabella shone and the wind-calming pearl appeared in his palm. Whoosh! Then, Lu Ming dashed into the tornado. Everyone was stunned. They did not expect Lu Ming to rush into the tornado. That kid has a rare treasure and is not afraid of the tornado. Someone reacted. It's that bead. Who is that kid? We must take him down. A half-saint expert from the heavenly god sect shouted coldly, his eyes burning with passion. Someone actually had a rare treasure and was not afraid of the tornado. If they could get it, wouldn't they be able to enter the mountain directly? Damn it! Did that guy enter the mountain alone? The people from the heavenly god sect and the poison sect were furious. They had already sent back news that the Sage Realm experts would be arriving soon. However, someone dared to rush into the mountain with a rare treasure. Let's surround this place. Even if that kid got a rare treasure, he won't be able to escape. Once he comes out, we'll kill him. The half-saint expert from the heavenly god sect said coldly. Rumble. At this moment, the tornado that Lu Ming had entered actually moved. It moved in the direction of the celestial divinity sect. What's going on? The heavenly god sect's people were shocked and quickly retreated. That kid's rare treasure can control the tornado! The half-saint from the heavenly god sect roared, his eyes burning with passion. He was right. The air-frozen pearl could control the tornado. Now, Lu Ming was using the air-frozen pearl to control the tornado. Lu Ming had discovered this when he was in the hurricane. After the air-frozen bead absorbed dozens of wind crystals, it had the ability to control the hurricane. Lu Ming was in the middle of the hurricane. He controlled the hurricane and swept it towards the people of the heavenly divinity sect at an increasingly faster speed. Damn it, retreat, retreat! The heavenly divinity sect's people roared and retreated quickly. Even a Saint Realm expert would die if they entered such a hurricane, let alone them. Not far away, Tian Chui and the other two were dumbstruck when they saw this. Haha, as expected of junior brother Lu Ming, amazing! After being stunned for a while, Tian Chui exclaimed in joy. As the heavenly divinity sect's people retreated quickly, Lu Ming's hurricane's speed also increased. It was now several times faster than before as he chased after the heavenly divinity sect. At the scene, everyone else was shocked. Since he was able to control the hurricanes, he was simply invincible in this place. Damn it, who is that brat? How dare they go against our heavenly god sect? Investigate, we must investigate! A half-step sage from the heavenly god sect roared. Hoo! At this moment, a hurricane suddenly moved from the side and rushed towards the heavenly divinity sect's people. In the heavenly wind plains there were some hurricanes that surrounded the mountain. However, there were still many hurricanes that stayed in various parts of the heavenly wind plains. At this moment, Lu Ming was controlling a hurricane from afar and rushing towards the heavenly divinity sect's people. Of course, there was a limit to this kind of long-distance control. If it was too far away, he wouldn't be able to control it. This time, dozens of heavenly divinity sect's people were caught off guard and were swept into the hurricane, including a half-step sage expert. A series of miserable shrieks rang out. Those below the half-step sage realm were instantly shredded into pieces by the hurricane. Only that half-step sage expert was still holding on. A saint weapon appeared on his body and frantically resisted the hurricane around him. No, let me out quickly! That half-step sage expert screamed in horror. He wanted to charge out with all his might, but with his cultivation, he was swept into the hurricane and couldn't get out. The terrifying hurricane constantly bombarded the saint weapon, causing it to tremble. It seemed like it wouldn't be able to hold on for long. Ah, let me out quickly! Brat, how dare you offend my heavenly divinity sect? You're courting death. That half-step sage continued to scream and threaten Lu Ming, asking Lu Ming to let him go. How pitiful! Go in peace! Lu Ming's indifferent voice rang out. Of course, Lu Ming had deliberately changed his voice so that others couldn't recognize that he was Lu Ming. Then, he controlled the hurricane and swept it towards the other heavenly divinity sect's people. Split up and escape! Split up and escape! The remaining heavenly divinity sect's experts roared. Then, the heavenly divinity sect's people split up and fled in all directions. Lu Ming sighed inwardly. The speed of the hurricane was still too slow. It couldn't catch up with those experts. Just now, it had caught them off guard and swept them into the hurricane. At this moment, the half-step sage expert who was swept into the hurricane couldn't hold on any longer. Crack! Cracks appeared on his holy armament. Then, with a loud bang, it exploded. No! The half-step sage roared in horror. Then, he turned into ashes in the endless, terrifying hurricane. Everyone was shocked. A half-step sage had been tricked and died just like that. Lu Ming's figure walked out of the hurricane. The air-frozen pearl shrouded him in green light. The heavenly divinity sect's people stared at Lu Ming. If looks could kill, Lu Ming would be riddled with holes. Brat, who are you? How dare you kill an expert of my heavenly divinity sect? From afar, Yu Xing glared at Lu Ming and roared. Those who are unjust are doomed to destruction. I just don't like your heavenly divinity sect, Lu Ming said indifferently. You're courting your own death. Yu Xing roared. Oh, then come and kill me. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Yu Xing's face turned ugly. What a joke. Asking him to kill Lu Ming now? Wasn't he courting death? Kill. A half-step sage of the heavenly divinity sect slashed out a beam of saint light toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming smiled disdainfully. His figure flashed and entered the hurricane. The beam of saint light slashed the hurricane and was immediately destroyed by the hurricane's power. Then, Lu Ming controlled the hurricane and continued to stare at the half-step sage. The half-step sage's face changed greatly, and he hurriedly turned and fled. Whoosh! The hurricane swept out. At this moment, it suddenly changed direction and rushed toward the people of the heavenly divinity sect. What are you doing? Mo Yang roared and hurriedly fled. The other people of the heavenly divinity sect also hurriedly fled. Lu Ming controlled the hurricane and chased after them. The people of the heavenly divinity sect and the heavenly divinity sect were in a mess. Lu Ming took special care of Mo Yang. He stared at him and chased after him, leaving Mo Yang in a sorry state. Mo Yang was furious. He was one of the top 10 monstrous geniuses of the Tsing prefecture, but he was being chased up and down in public. He had lost all face. Lu Ming chased after him. Suddenly, he changed direction and rushed toward the people of the Desire Poison sect. Chapter 1582. Around them, the people from the other small forces were all a little stunned. Lu Ming was actually chasing after the three top sects at the same time, which was very confusing. However, the people from the three sects were indeed in a very sorry state. Kid, when the Celestial God sect's Saint Realm powerhouses arrive, you'll be dead, Saint Yu roared. Yes, there are also Saint Realm powerhouses from the Desire Poison sect. They will arrive soon. Even if you hide in the tornado, you'll still die. Someone from the Desire Poison sect also roared. They were really angry. Lu Ming was simply cheating by hiding in the tornado. He could only chase after them, but they could only escape. They couldn't fight back, as fighting back was tantamount to courting death. Needless to say, they were very aggrieved. Lu Ming ignored them and focused on controlling the tornado to chase after them. However, the people from the three sects had learned their lesson and stayed away from all the tornadoes. This way, even if Lu Ming could control the other tornadoes, he wouldn't be able to kill the people from the three sections. In the end, Lu Ming stared at Mo Yang and chased him around the area for more than a dozen laps. His face was flushed with anger and frustration. After chasing for a while, when they were far away, Lu Ming silently came out of the tornado. He then changed his figure and aura and came to a place not far from Tian Chui and the others. The tornadoes stopped, but the people from the three sects were still cautious and vigilant, staying away from any tornado. After a while, the tornadoes didn't move at all. Only then did the people from the three sects let out a long sigh of relief. However, the people from the three sects all had terrifying flames in their eyes. They knew that they had been tricked by Lu Ming. If this matter were to spread, the three sects would lose face. Mo Yang, in particular, was even more furious. Just like that, while the people from the three sects were on high alert, time quickly passed. An hour later, whoosh! In the sky, a white holy light flashed, and an old man in a white robe appeared in the air. Elder, the Saint Realm Elder of the Celestial Gods sect has arrived! The people from the Celestial Gods sect were overjoyed. Whoosh! Whoosh! Then, the sound of the air being torn apart continuously rang out. At least 7 or 8 figures appeared in the sky, each of them exuding a vast pressure. That was the might of a saint. All of the people who came were of the saint plane. Some wore green robes, while others wore white robes. They were the Saint Realm experts of the Desire Poison sect and the Celestial God sect. Each sect had sent 3 saints. There were also 2 Saint Realm experts who were not from the 2 major sections. They should be experts from small forces nearby. Some small sects and forces also had Saint Realm experts in charge. Some sects were not weak at all. They were only slightly weaker than the 13 top sections. The 8 Saint Realm powerhouses stood in the void and looked at the mountain in front of them. To be more precise, they were looking at the phantom of the phoenix. What a powerful aura! This is at least a holy weapon, or even higher. A sage realm expert from the Celestial Divinity sect spoke, his eyes burning with passion. The other Saint Realm experts were the same. Their eyes were burning with passion. Boom! Suddenly, a saint from the Celestial God sect moved. He took a step forward, and the entire world shook. A milky white saint light shot up to the sky from his body. Finally, boundless saint light condensed into a battle blade. The saber was at least tens of thousands of meters long. It crossed the void and slashed at the tornadoes ahead. Boom! The saint light battle blade slashed at the tornadoes, and an ear-piercing sound was heard. The terrifying winds were like endless blades. They kept slashing at the Saint Light battle blade, and the space around it kept shaking. Break for me! The Saint Realm expert from the Celestial God sect roared. His aura was even more terrifying. The Saint Light battle blade shone brightly as it tried to cut the tornadoes apart. The huge Saint Light battle blade actually cut into the tornadoes. Many people held their breaths and widened their eyes as they looked ahead. Could a Saint Realm expert break through the tornadoes? However, the Saint Light battle blade was only halfway through when it was slashed by the endless wind blades and exploded. The Saint Realm expert from the Celestial God sect had failed. In the distance, Lu Ming's expression was still very serious. The strength of a Saint Realm expert is really terrifying, Lu Ming thought to himself. He knew how powerful the tornadoes were. If a half-saint entered, only death would await them. They wouldn't even be able to resist. However, the Saint Realm expert just now had been able to break through half of the tornadoes. He had almost completely split the tornadoes in half. His strength was truly terrifying. In the face of such an expert, Lu Ming wouldn't be safe even if he hid in the tornadoes with the air-frozen pearl. The tornadoes here are too strong. One person can't break through. How about we work together? A Saint Realm expert from the Desire Poison sect said. Work together? Then how will the treasures be divided after we enter? A Saint Realm expert from the Celestial God sect asked. After we enter, of course, it will be based on our own abilities. Whoever obtains it will get it. A Saint Realm expert from the Desire Poison sect said. Okay, we agree. The 3 Saint Realm experts from the Celestial God sect nodded in unison. Then, the Saint Realm experts from the other 2 small sects also nodded in agreement. Boom! 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 8 Saint Realm experts erupted with a terrifying aura at the same time. Vast and boundless saint aura filled the air. At the same time, a saint weapon shot out from each of their bodies, emitting a dazzling light. In the hands of a saint realm expert, the power of a saint weapon was completely different from that of a person below the saint realm. It was extremely terrifying. Then, the 8 of them attacked at the same time. 8 saint weapons bombarded the tornadoes at the same time. Boom! The tornadoes shook violently. Although the tornadoes were powerful, they couldn't stop the combined attacks of the 8 saint realm experts. After a loud boom, the tornadoes exploded into endless gales that scattered between heaven and earth. Many people's eyes lit up when they saw that the tornadoes had been destroyed. Continue! A Saint Realm expert from the Celestial God sect said. Then, the 8 Saint Realm experts continued to attack. Terrifying attacks continuously bombarded the tornadoes. Under the attacks of the 8 Saint Realm experts, the tornadoes collapsed and turned into wind energy that dissipated between heaven and earth. Soon, at least a dozen tornadoes were blasted apart. A huge gap appeared in the tornadoes surrounding the mountain. Everyone could clearly see the situation inside the mountain. At the bottom of the mountain, there was a huge cave. Resplendent light shone from within the cave. Surprisingly, the other tornadoes around the mountain didn't move. They didn't fill the gap. Whoosh! Suddenly, a Saint Realm elder from the Celestial God sect turned into a beam of light and charged toward the mountain. He instantly charged through the area covered by the tornadoes. Don't even think about it! The Desire Poison sect expert roared and charged forward. In the blink of an eye, the 8 Saint Realm experts charged into the area covered by the tornadoes and into the cave. Let's go in and take a look! Chapter 1583. One by one, the figures charged into the cave and disappeared. Senior brother, senior sister, shall we go in as well? Lu Ming came to Tian Chui and Xue Ningxin's side and returned to his original appearance. All right, let's go in and have a look, Tian Chui said. Lu Ming, I won't go in. Eden shook his head. Eden knew that with his cultivation, he would not be of any use if he went in. If he encountered danger, he would be a burden to Lu Ming and the others. Lu Ming nodded and did not say anything. He rushed into the cave with Tian Chui and Xue Ningxin. The cave was huge. After rushing in, there was a slanted passage leading downwards. At this time, another phoenix cry was heard. It came from the bottom of the cave, but it was low, weak, and full of despair. Boom! 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 Then, there was a terrible roar from below. Is there a big battle down there? Lu Ming and the other two's expressions changed. They became even more cautious. They restrained their auras completely and took out their sacred weapons at any time. At the same time, Lu Ming was prepared to bring Tian Chui and Xue Ningxin into the mountain river painting. The passage was not long. Soon, the 3 of them reached the end. At the end of the passage was a huge and spacious underground cave. It seemed to be man-made. As soon as Lu Ming and the other 2 entered the underground cave, they were stunned. They looked ahead in horror. In front of the underground cave, there was a huge wall. On the wall, there was a phoenix nailed. Yes, a divine phoenix was nailed to the wall. Its wings and legs were pierced through and nailed to the wall. Its neck was also chained to the wall. Blood continued to flow from his wings, from his feet, and along the wall. At that moment, the phoenix was already extremely weak. Its aura was like gossamer. Chirp! It let out a mournful cry that was full of despair. Lu Ming was shocked. It seemed that the cry of the phoenix that was heard in the Tianfeng plains was from this phoenix. It was full of despair and unwillingness. A divine bird, a phoenix, was nailed to the wall by someone. It could only watch as its blood flowed out and died. How unreconciled was this? Who was it that did this? Boom! Boom! The violent roar interrupted Lu Ming's train of thought. It also made Lu Ming shift his gaze away from the phoenix and look down. Below the wall, there was an ancient altar. The blood of the phoenix flowed along the wall and flowed onto the altar, seeping into it. A mirror floated above the altar. This mirror was engraved with the image of a phoenix. Furthermore, the image of a phoenix was fluttering around the surface of the mirror. The resplendent light was emitted by this mirror. Chirp, the cry of a phoenix resounded. It was intense, high-pitched, and filled with the domineering aura of the king of birds. Lu Ming finally realized that the phoenix phantom that had appeared on the mountain and the high-pitched cry had come from this mirror. There were indeed two different phoenix cries. One belonged to the phoenix, and the other belonged to the mirror. This mirror was enveloped by a halo that exuded a terrifying pressure. The 8 saints were attacking the halo on the mirror. This pressure seems to be the pressure of an emperor? Lu Ming was shocked when he felt the pressure from the mirror. He had felt the pressure of Emperor Tsang and the soul destroyer Shakyamuni before. It was extremely similar to this ancient mirror. An emperor weapon! A word flashed across Lu Ming's mind. There was really an emperor weapon here. This is a formation! Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. With his eye of discernment, he could easily tell that the altar and the ground beside it were covered in runes, forming a huge formation. This is a sealing formation. The emperor weapon is the core. Also, the phoenix that was nailed to the wall is the key to breaking the formation. The blood that flowed out can break the formation. At this moment, many thoughts flashed across Lu Ming's mind. Someone had injured the phoenix and nailed it to the wall. The phoenix's resentful blood was used to break the formation here. Now, they had barged into this place. The 8 saints were obviously attracted by the emperor weapon. They were attacking the halo with all their might, trying to seize the emperor weapon. In this way, they would be helping to break the formation. If Lu Ming could see and think of all these, the 8 Sage Realm powerhouses would definitely be able to think of all these as well. However, the 8 Sage Realm powerhouses no longer cared about anything else. They only had eyes for the emperor weapon. As long as they could get the emperor weapon, it did not matter what formation they broke. The 8 Sage Realm powerhouses continued to bombard the light screen, causing the underground cavern to shake continuously. The others watched from afar. They could not interfere at all. Crack! After a while, the halo could not take it anymore. It let out a cracking sound. A crack appeared on the halo. Then, the number of cracks increased. Finally, the halo exploded with a bang. When the halo shattered, the cry of a phoenix reverberated through the cavern. "The emperor weapon is mine!" A saint of the celestial divinity sect shouted. "Dream on! Let's see if you have the ability to get the emperor weapon!" The saint of the desire poison sect roared. His body was covered in poisonous gas that surged toward the saint of the celestial divinity sect. At the same time, he formed a huge hand and grabbed at the ancient phoenix mirror. "Scram! Those who block me will die! Kill!" It was a mess. It was a complete mess. When the halo shattered, the 8 saints were in a complete mess. The 8 of them rushed toward the ancient phoenix mirror. At the same time, they fought fiercely. The value of an emperor weapon was too high. It was unimaginable. Dong! A huge hand formed from poisonous gas grabbed at the ancient phoenix mirror. However, the ancient phoenix mirror trembled and a phoenix cried. A beam of light shot out from the ancient phoenix mirror and destroyed the huge hand. But then, a huge hand completely condensed from holy light grabbed at the ancient phoenix mirror. Chirp! The ancient phoenix mirror cried out. Then, a phoenix shadow rushed out and destroyed the huge hand. Then, the ancient phoenix mirror trembled and flew toward the top. A huge cauldron, a saint weapon, came down to suppress the ancient phoenix mirror. However, the ancient phoenix mirror flashed and dodged the cauldron's suppression. The huge cauldron did not suppress the ancient phoenix mirror. Its terrifying power slammed into the altar below, causing it to explode. Boom! On the other side, the ancient phoenix mirror crashed into the wall above. Rubble flew everywhere. The ancient phoenix mirror pierced through the mountain and created a tunnel. The ancient phoenix mirror flew out along the tunnel. "Where are you going?" "Chase!" The 8 saints soared into the sky and chased after the ancient phoenix mirror. In the blink of an eye, there was not a single saint left in the underground cavern. At this time, everyone looked at the phoenix that was nailed to the wall. Chapter 1584. They were not qualified to fight for the imperial weapon, but now that the Saint had left, they could not miss out on the phoenix. Whoosh! Whoosh! One by one, they rushed toward the phoenix on the wall. Get lost! You're courting death! Kill! Roars rang out one after another, and all kinds of dazzling lights exploded, filled with terrifying murderous intent. Suddenly, dozens of experts exploded in the air, and blood splattered everywhere. Among them, Mo Yang was the most terrifying. When he attacked, the sky was filled with black demonic flames. Those who came into contact with them were immediately burned to ashes. There were also a few half-saints from the Desire Poison sect and the Celestial God sect. They were also extremely terrifying. With a wave of their hands, they killed one expert after another. They were the fastest, and they rushed toward the phoenix. No one noticed that the blood of the people who had been killed quickly seeped into the ground and disappeared after spilling onto the ground. At this time, Lu Ming also rushed out. However, Lu Ming did not rush toward the phoenix, but toward the side of the altar. There was a stone plate there. It was the size of a plate, and there was a Tai Chi pattern carved on it. Just now, when the altar was shattered, this stone plate flew out from the altar. Everyone thought that the large array on the altar only had one core, and that was the ancient phoenix mirror. However, Lu Ming could see that the large array on the altar actually had two cores. One of them was the phoenix ancient mirror. As for the other core, it was the stone plate. To be able to serve as the core of this large array together with the ancient phoenix mirror, it was definitely not simple. Lu Ming reached out and grabbed the stone plate, but the stone plate did not budge. It's so heavy? Lu Ming was shocked. He tried to grab it, but he could not lift it. This stone plate was heavier than a mountain. Let's put it away with the mountain and river diagram first. Lu Ming's eyebrows lit up, and a beam of light shot out, enveloping the stone plate. The stone plate was successfully put into the mountain and river diagram. At this time, Lu Ming suddenly felt a terrible crisis in his heart. This sense of crisis made Lu Ming feel as if he had fallen into an abyss. Oh no, it's dangerous! Without a second thought, Lu Ming took a step back and retreated. At the same time, Mo Yang, who was pouncing towards the phoenix, had a drastic change in his expression. He suddenly turned around and retreated frantically. However, all peerless geniuses had extremely sharp spiritual senses. They could often sense the danger that was about to befall them. Thus, they could overcome all kinds of difficulties and reach the peak. Lu Ming was such a person, and there was no doubt that Mo Yang was the same. Just as the two of them retreated, wisps of black smoke came out of the altar and wrapped around the group of cultivators. Ah, what the hell is this? Someone shouted in horror. A horrifying scene occurred. All those who were entangled by the black smoke had their bodies rapidly shriveled up, turning into dried corpses. It was like being devoured by Lu Ming's devouring power. Ah, get lost! The others cried out in fear. They wanted to retreat, but it was too late. Everyone who was surrounded by the black smoke turned into dried corpses. Break! Only a few half-saints could fight back. They took out their sacred weapons and attacked with all their might, scattering the wisps of black smoke. However, after the black smoke was scattered, it gathered again, and all of it rushed towards one person. That person was a half-saint from the Celestial God sect, who had participated in the killing of Lu Ming. All of the black smoke gathered, and its power increased greatly. Even the half-saint's sacred weapon was useless as he was entangled by the black smoke. The black smoke was like small snakes that burrowed into the half-saint's body. The half-saint screamed in despair. Then, like the others, he turned into a dried corpse. Run! The few half-saints who had escaped were terrified. They roared and retreated quickly. The others were also terrified and retreated towards the passage behind them. Lu Ming, Tian Chui, and Xue Ningxin blended in with the crowd and retreated towards the passage. However, when they approached the tunnel, the walls on both sides of the tunnel suddenly exploded. Several figures appeared in a flash and surrounded the entrance of the tunnel. These people were all wrapped in black robes, revealing only a pair of cold eyes. Kill! As soon as these people appeared, they charged towards Lu Ming and the others without saying a word. The crowd was shocked. They had not expected that there would be people hiding on the walls on both sides. It was not difficult for a martial royal realm cultivator to make a big hole in the wall, and then smooth it out, or even restore it to its original state. As long as he mastered the earth domain or the mountain domain, it would not be too difficult. However, the crowd was distracted by the sacred weapon and the phoenix. They were caught off guard and a large number of experts were killed in an instant. Whoosh! Whoosh! Sword radiance flashed and blood splattered everywhere. The figures fell one by one. Half-saints! Half-saints! Someone shouted in horror. There were at least 7 or 8 half-saints among the black-robed men. Sword radiance flashed, and no one could block it. The most shocking thing was that there were a few black-robed men standing at the side. They did not attack, but the aura they emitted was extremely shocking. That was the sacred aura. Those black-robed men were all sacred realm experts. Who are you? How dare you kill the people of the Celestial God sect? A half-saint from the Celestial God sect shouted angrily. However, what greeted him was a terrifying sword radiance. Whoosh! 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 Those sacred realm black-robed men did not attack them. Instead, they walked past them and appeared in front of the broken altar. They bowed and said in unison, "Welcome back to the world, Guardian King! Flesh and blood, I want flesh and blood!" Beneath the altar, a shriveled and unpleasant voice rang out, causing one's hair to stand on end upon hearing it. Guardian King? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. These people were from the evil spirit sect. Lu Ming's mind raced. He finally knew what had happened here. There was actually a guardian king of the evil spirit sect sealed here. Previously, the array with the Tai Chi array disc and the Phoenix ancient mirror as the core was to seal the guardian king of the evil spirit sect. However, the evil spirit sect wanted to save the guardian king of the evil spirit sect. Therefore, they entered the heavenly wind plains and severely injured the phoenix. Then, they nailed the phoenix to the wall and used its resentful blood to break the array. Therefore, over the past half a month, the cries of the phoenix could be heard from time to time. They were filled with unwillingness and despair, which attracted so many experts. By the time the 8 sages had entered, the power of the array was already very weak. In order to fight for the Phoenix ancient mirror, the 8 sages had forcefully broken the array here and destroyed the altar, allowing the Phoenix ancient mirror to escape. This was equivalent to helping the evil spirit sect greatly. Now, the guardian king of the evil spirit sect was about to come out of seclusion. Guardian King, we'll help you break the last array formation first! A black-robed sage shouted. Then, several black-robed sages joined forces and bombarded the ground below the altar. There was another array formation there. However, that array formation was not very strong. Under the bombardment of several sages, it was on the verge of collapse. Senior brother, senior sister, let's go through the passage above! Lu Ming shouted. The 3 of them rushed toward the passage above them that had been pierced by the Phoenix ancient mirror. Chapter 1585. The 3 of them controlled their sacred weapons and sent the black-robed men flying into the sky. The others had the same idea as Lu Ming and the others and rushed toward the passage above them. At least 100 people rushed toward the passage above them. Some of them rushed toward the passage that they had entered earlier. Kill! The black-robed men killed with all their might and left a large number of corpses in the underground cave. However, there were many of them who had entered this time. Although a large number of them had been killed, there were still a few hundred of them rushing toward the 2 passages. Boom! At this moment, the underground cave shook violently. The formation was broken. Rubble flew everywhere, and a dark cave appeared below. An old man who looked like a skeleton floated out of the cave. Flesh and blood, flesh and blood! The skeleton-like old man's hoarse voice rang out. Then, he rushed toward the corpses that had been killed. Wisps of black smoke emanated from the old man and enveloped the corpses. Instantly, the corpses quickly shriveled. Even the blood on the ground was absorbed by the black smoke. The skeleton-like old man's body became fuller and more lustrous. Ha ha! I, spirit-devouring Dharma King, have finally come out! The old man laughed. His eyes were filled with shocking blood-red light. Welcome back to the world, Dharma King! Several black-robed saints bowed. You've done well! Spirit-devouring Dharma King nodded. Then, he looked at the passage above and said, I need more flesh and blood. Kill! With that, Shakyamuni devouring spirit soared into the sky and chased after Yifutian. The other saints also rushed out. At this moment, Lu Ming and the others had already rushed out of the passage. As soon as they rushed out of the passage, they realized that the tornadoes that had been surrounding them had all disappeared. Even the tornadoes on the Tianfeng plains had all disappeared. The Tianfeng plains had become an ordinary plain. Boom! Boom! In the sky, there were continuous explosions. Poison gas and sacred light filled the sky. At the same time, there was the cry of a phoenix. 8 saints were fighting in the sky to fight for the phoenix ancient mirror. No, there were more than 8 of them. Lu Ming lifted his head to take a look. He discovered that there were more than 10 figures fighting in the sky. The entire sky was about to explode. More than a dozen people, all of them saints. Clearly, more saints had come to participate in the fight for the Phoenix Ancient Mirror while they were inside. The Phoenix Ancient Mirror was surrounded by many saints. More than a dozen saints fought against each other, but no one could get the Phoenix Ancient Mirror. Bam! Swish! In the sky, a figure was sent flying and vomiting blood. A saint from the Celestial Divinity sect was injured. There were strong and weak saints as well. Clearly, this person was on the weaker side of the saint realm. Once Lu Ming and the rest dashed out of the passageway, they did not stop at all. They dashed out of the Tianfeng plains. Behind them, the evil spirit sect members gave chase. Some people from the Heavenly Divinity sect and the Poison Desire sect cried out for help from the Saint Realm experts. The injured Saint Realm expert took a step forward and appeared above the crowd. He asked, "What's going on? How dare you?" A cold murderous intent flashed across the Celestial Divine Sex sage's eyes. He had been the first to be injured in the fight for the Phoenix Ancient Mirror. He had been suppressing his anger and had nowhere to vent it. Now, he turned his target to the evil spirit sect. Kill! The Heavenly Divine Sex saint took a step forward. Holy light filled the sky, forming terrifying sword chi that charged toward the evil spirit sect. Instantly, more than a dozen evil spirit sect experts were killed, including 2 half-saints. Saints could condense saint power. Once saint power was released, true essence could not withstand it at all and was instantly pierced through. Retreat! The other evil spirit sect members retreated. However, Lu Ming, Tian Chui, and Xue Ningxin did not stop at all. They continued to charge out. There was a Dharmaraja sealed here. The Dharmarajas of the evil spirit sect were all emperor-level experts. Even if they had been sealed for many years, they were still absolutely terrifying. It was best to leave now. The Heavenly Divine Sex saint naturally did not know all of this. Holy light burst out from his body, and he stepped toward the evil spirit sect members with a domineering spirit. How dare you kill my Heavenly Divine Sect members? Leave no one alive! The Heavenly Divine Sex saint said coldly. Is that so? Let's see how you kill them. Hee hee hee. At this moment, a cold laugh rang out. The spirit-devouring Dharmaraja flew out of the passage in the mountain, his body covered in black smoke as he flew toward them. The Heavenly Divine Sex saint looked at the spirit-devouring Dharmaraja and frowned slightly. He realized that he could not see through the other party. He did not know the other party's cultivation level, but he could feel that the other party seemed to be very weak. Humph, an old fellow whose blood is about to dry up also came to die. Kill! The Heavenly Divine Sex saint shouted coldly as a divine punishment spear condensed in his hand. Swoosh! The divine punishment spear pierced out, and a terrifying whistling sound rang out in the sky. Even the space rippled. The god's punishment spear used by a Saint Realm expert was too terrifying. It was completely condensed by the Saint Realm's power and contained the power of laws. Lu Ming felt that even if he blocked it with a sacred weapon, he would be penetrated. Bam! The divine punishment spear accurately hit the spirit-devouring Dharmaraja, and the spirit-devouring Dharmaraja exploded. Humph, you can't even withstand a single blow. The heavenly divine sex saint sneered disdainfully. Is that so? Hee hee hee. With a cold laugh, the spirit-devouring Dharmaraja turned into wisps of black smoke and entangled the heavenly divine sex saint. How is this possible? Under my power of laws, even a natural spiritual body would be severely injured. The heavenly divine sex saint roared in disbelief. Some natural spiritual bodies, such as flame and lightning spiritual bodies, had strong vitality. When their bodies collapsed, it would greatly reduce the damage. However, the power of laws was extremely harmful to these spiritual bodies. The heavenly divine sex saint's spear could definitely injure the other party, but it seemed that the other party was completely fine. In the next moment, his expression changed drastically because he felt the blood in his body boiling, as if it was about to be devoured by the black smoke that surrounded him. Explode! The heavenly divine sex saint roared, and his saint power burst out, trying to destroy the spirit-devouring Dharmaraja's black smoke. But it was useless. The black smoke dissipated and condensed into small snakes again, drilling into the heavenly divine sex saint's body. This is the spirit-devouring technique. Who are you? The heavenly divine sex saint screamed in horror. Hee hee, at least you have some knowledge to know about the spirit-devouring technique. I am the spirit-devouring Dharmaraja. A cold laugh came from the black smoke. Spirit-devouring Dharmaraja? You are the spirit-devouring Dharmaraja of the evil spirit sect. Chapter 1586. The Dharma kings of the evil spirit sect were all emperor-level experts. There was actually a Dharma king of the evil spirit sect here. Pooh! At this moment, spirit-devouring Master King reformed his body. His palm was like a knife, piercing through the air. The heavenly god sex saint was so shocked that he forgot to retreat. His heart was pierced by spirit-devouring Shakyamuni's palm. The terrifying spirit-devouring power was madly devouring the heavenly god sex saint's blood. No! The heavenly god sex saint struggled madly, but it was useless. The spirit-devouring king's terrifying power surged into his body and exploded. His saint heart was directly shattered. The heavenly god sex saint was dead. A saint was killed just like that. This was even after Shakyamuni's spirit-devouring king had been sealed for many years and his strength had been greatly reduced. Otherwise, an emperor-level expert would have been able to kill a celestial god sex saint with a flick of his finger. Let's go, let's go! The other party is an evil spirit sect law king, the arch-expert. At the scene, everyone panicked. Chaos ensued as they frantically fled out of the Tianfeng plains. As for spirit-devouring Dharma King, he had absorbed the blood of a saint, and his aura had become much stronger. Kakik, the blood of a saint is indeed wonderful. There's still a lot here. Spirit-devouring Dharma King looked up at the sky. There were more than a dozen saints there. Whoosh! Spirit-devouring Dharma King soared into the air. The pupils of the dozen saints constricted. Just now, the celestial divinity sex saint had been killed. Moreover, they had also heard the roar of the celestial divinity sex saint. Now that the spirit-devouring guardian king had walked over, they were extremely shocked. Everyone, he's a martial monarch. Even though he's been sealed for many years, he's still terrifying. We'd better work together. A saint from the desire poison sect spoke first. All right, I agree. I agree too. In the face of spirit-devouring Shakyamuni, they could only join forces. Otherwise, they would die. Chirp! At this moment, the Phoenix Ancient Mirror let out a violent cry. It emitted a brilliant light as if it had turned into a phoenix and rushed out of the encirclement. You want to leave after sealing me for so many years? Spirit-devouring Shakyamuni said coldly. With a wave of his palm, a giant palm condensed and grabbed at the ancient phoenix mirror. The phoenix spread its wings and flapped out a dazzling ray of light. It pierced through the spirit-devouring guardian king's giant hand and then rushed into the distance. Spirit-devouring Dharma King frowned, but he didn't pursue. The other saints were afraid of spirit-devouring Dharma King, so they didn't dare to pursue. In the blink of an eye, the phoenix ancient mirror disappeared from everyone's sight. On the Tianfeng Plains, a young man was madly running out of the Tianfeng Plains. This person was Eden. He didn't enter the mountain, but stayed outside. When he saw the phoenix ancient mirror flying out, and a dozen saints participating in the battle, he knew that it was meaningless for him to stay. Moreover, it was extremely dangerous. If he was hit by the shockwaves of the battle, he would die. Therefore, he decided to leave the heavenly wind plains and observe in secret. While he was running, the cry of a phoenix rang out. Then, a beam of rainbow light shot into his body and disappeared into it. Eden's expression changed greatly. He carefully sensed his surroundings and was overjoyed. Imperial armament, Phoenix ancient mirror! Eden let out a low groan. Then, he used his movement technique and quickly flew out, disappearing in the blink of an eye. On the other side, spirit-devouring Dharma King looked at the dozen saints with fiery eyes. It seemed that in his eyes, saints were more attractive than imperial armaments. Kill! Suddenly, spirit-devouring Dharma King moved and attacked one of them. Attack! The dozen saints also attacked at the same time. Terrifying attacks gathered and blasted towards spirit-devouring Dharma King. However, spirit-devouring Dharma King's body was as light as a feather. He dodged the attacks and continued to attack one of them. Help the Dharma King! At this moment, a few black-robed men stepped into the sky and joined the battle. They were the saints of the evil spirit sect. They helped spirit-devouring Dharma King restrain his opponents, allowing him to be even more at home. Swoosh! Swoosh! Spirit-devouring Dharma King's body kept flashing. He slapped out with his palm, and wisps of black smoke spread out and surged toward the dozen saints. Spirit-devouring Dharma King had devoured the previous saint. It was obvious that he had become stronger. Those saints seemed to be very afraid of spirit-devouring Dharma King's black smoke. They did not dare to come into contact with the black smoke, and all kinds of attacks were launched to disperse the black smoke. There were also some attacks that blasted towards spirit-devouring Dharma King, but it seemed to be useless against him. His body collapsed and turned into wisps of black smoke. Die! Spirit-devouring Dharma King stared at one of the saints, and kept attacking him. That saint was a saint from a small sect and was relatively weak. That saint's face was very ugly, and he kept retreating. Lingyan steps! Spirit-devouring Dharma King spat out an ear-piercing voice. His body swayed and suddenly disappeared without a trace. Oh no! That saint was shocked. He unleashed his saint power and controlled the laws to blast in all directions. But splat! Spirit-devouring Dharma King had appeared in front of him. His palm pierced through the saint's heart. The terrifying power directly destroyed the saint's saint heart. Then he began to frantically absorb the saint's blood. Stop him! Don't let him continue to absorb blood! A saint from the Desire Poison sect roared and attacked spirit-devouring Dharma King. The other saints also attacked spirit-devouring Dharma King. Spirit-devouring Dharma King had been sealed for many years. His chi and blood were weak, so his strength was also very weak. But if he absorbed blood, his strength would probably skyrocket. Terrifying attacks landed on spirit-devouring Dharma King's body. Spirit-devouring Dharma King's body exploded, turning into wisps of black smoke and entering the body of the saint he had killed. Ha ha ha, you can't stop me! An evil voice came from the saint's body. His body shriveled up at a speed visible to the naked eye. Destroy his body! Someone roared. Terrifying attacks landed on the saint's body and immediately cracked his body. However, only a small amount of blood spilled out and was swept up by a cloud of black smoke. Ha! Spirit-devouring Dharma King's laughter continued. He transformed back into a human, but his body was fuller, and his aura was stronger. Spirit-devouring palm, kill! Spirit-devouring Dharma King roared. This time, he directly attacked. He had absorbed the blood of 2 saints in a row. His strength had greatly increased and he could use some terrifying techniques. A terrifying palm print formed and blasted toward one of the saints. Bam! That saint exploded and blasted the palm print. But the result was that the saint's body shook violently, and he spat out blood and retreated. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, spirit-devouring Dharma King blasted out more than a dozen palms. More than a dozen terrifying palm prints formed, blotting out the sky as they blasted toward the saints. More than a dozen saints roared and attacked to block, but in the end, they were all forced to retreat while spitting out blood. Chapter 1587. At the same time, the other saints of the evil spirit sect also joined forces to attack one of them. Bam! That person had just blocked the spirit-devouring king's attack and was then faced with the joint attacks of the other saints. He couldn't resist at all. With a scream, his body was torn apart, and he died on the spot. The spirit-devouring king's claw turned into a cloud of black smoke and absorbed all the blood. Oh no! The other saints' expressions changed drastically. The spirit-devouring king's strength was already shocking enough. Now that it had absorbed the blood of another saint, its strength would definitely be even more terrifying. Let's go! The dozen or so saints actually didn't dare to continue fighting and turned to run. They were originally from different sects and weren't united. At this critical moment, they all wanted to escape and let the others block them. You want to escape? All of you will die! The spirit-devouring king sneered and chased after the other saints with a few evil spirit sect saints. The saints have been defeated. Run! There were still some people watching below. They originally thought that the dozen or so saints would be able to suppress the other party if they joined forces. They didn't expect to see this scene and were immediately scared out of their wits. At this time, Lu Ming, Tian Chui, and Xuaningxing were almost out of the heavenly wind plains. They didn't stop. The spirit-devouring king was a arch. Although there were more than a dozen saints, Lu Ming still felt that a dozen saints might not be of much use. Oh no, those saints have been defeated! Tian Chui roared. Between heaven and earth, a mighty saint aura spread out. The dozen or so saints scattered and fled in all directions. Let's go. The spirit-devouring king's current target is the saints. Our cultivation levels are too weak. He won't target us now, Lu Ming said. The 3 of them continued to fly at top speed. In the blink of an eye, they had flown out of the heavenly wind plains. Swoosh! At this moment, in the distant sky, a terrifying sharp light pierced into the heavenly wind plains. It was a spear, the spear of divine punishment. Another expert from the heavenly god sect had come. This spear of divine punishment was incomparably terrifying. It streaked across the void as if it had pierced through the void. Saint! Spirit-devouring Dharma King said coldly. He struck out with his palm and collided with the spear of divine punishment. An earth-shattering boom rang out as Spirit-devouring King's body was pushed back dozens of miles. In the distant void, a figure stepped on the air and approached. This was a middle-aged man with a tall and slender figure. One could tell that he was very handsome when he was young. His expression was very calm, but unknowingly, he exuded a supreme majesty. Sect Master, it's the Sect Master! Some of the heavenly god sect's disciples cried out when they saw this middle-aged man. Lu Ming and the other 2 were also shocked. The Sect Master of the Heavenly Divinity sect actually came personally. I didn't expect an evil spirit sect king to be sealed here. However, it looks like he should be very weak. A cold voice rang out. The one who spoke wasn't the sect master of the heavenly god sect, but from the other side. On the other side, a green-robed old man suddenly appeared. He was the one who had spoken earlier. Sect Master. The disciples of the Desire Poison sect cried out in alarm. The sect master of the Desire Poison sect had also arrived. Kakik, 2 absolute saints actually came. As long as I kill you, I should be able to recover 20% of my cultivation. Spirit-devouring king laughed loudly. Spirit-devouring king, you still want to kill us in your current state? What a joke. Retreat now. Leave the Tsang state, and I won't pursue today's matter. The sect master of the heavenly god sect said calmly. A mere absolute saint. How arrogant. What if I don't retreat? Spirit-devouring king said coldly. If you don't retreat, I can only make you stay here and completely destroy you. The sect master of the heavenly god sect said. He then looked at the sect master of the desire poison sect and said, Brother Wu, why don't we join forces? That's what I was thinking. The sect master of the desire poison sect said. Ha ha ha, then let me see what you juniors are capable of. Kill. Spirit-devouring king charged toward the sect master of the heavenly god sect. Boom! Boom! At the same time, the sect masters of the heavenly god sect and the desire poison sect unleashed their terrifying auras and charged towards spirit-devouring king. Instantly, the entire area was covered in white saint light, green poisonous gas, and black smoke. Terrifying rumbles could be heard continuously. Spirit-devouring king is blocked. Let's go. Lu Ming didn't hesitate and took out the breaking sky shuttle. The three of them stepped into the shuttle and flew away. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared from the area. The breaking sky shuttle was extremely fast, but it still took a few minutes for the tremors in the heavenly wind plains to disappear completely. Damn, a great emperor has appeared. That was close, Tian Chui said with lingering fear. An emperor-level figure was too terrifying. After so many years, the Tsang state only had one emperor Tsang. After that, there was no other emperor. I wonder if the sect masters of the heavenly god sect and the desire poison sect can stop spirit-devouring king. Xuanning thought. The evil spirit sect was destroyed 80,000 years ago. The spirit-devouring Dharma king was most likely sealed by another Darch 80,000 years ago. After so many years, he has become extremely weak. However, he is still a Darch. It's hard to say if there are two absolute saints, Lu Ming said. However, all of this had nothing to do with them. With their strength, it was useless for them to worry. They couldn't interfere at all. Ordinary saints would find it difficult to interfere with such an expert. They would be killed if they tried. I wonder how little Qing is doing. I haven't seen him before. Lu Ming was a little worried. He took out a voice transmission jade talisman, and was about to send a voice transmission to Xian Yanqing. However, just as Lu Ming took out the voice transmission jade talisman, he received a voice transmission from Xian Yanqing, asking him how he was. He was full of worry. Since Xian Yanqing had sent him a voice transmission, it meant that Xian Yanqing was fine. Lu Ming heaved a sigh of relief. Then, Lu Ming replied to Xian Yanqing. Through the voice transmission jade talisman, Lu Ming knew that Xian Yanqing was now outside the heavenly wind plains. A saint from the heavenly universe demon sect had come, and she was with this saint. Lu Ming adjusted the direction and flew towards Xian Yanqing. Soon, he saw Xian Yanqing. The two chatted for a while and finally said goodbye. Lu Ming, Tian Chui, and the other two stepped on the flying shuttle again and went to Dragon God Valley. The heavenly wind plains was in the west of Tsang State, and Dragon God Valley was in the southeast of Tsang State. It was very far away. Even with the flying shuttle, it would take a long time. 7 days later, they landed in a big city and asked for news. As expected, the news about the heavenly wind plains had already spread throughout Tsang State. Lu Ming and the other two asked around and heard a lot of news. In the heavenly wind plains, the evil spirit sect's spirit-devouring king had returned to the world and killed several saints. In the end, he fought with the two sect masters of the heavenly god sect and the poison sect. That battle was earth-shattering. In the end, spirit-devouring Dharma king was too weak and wasn't a match for the two saints. He was severely injured and escaped with a few saints. As for the remaining evil spirit sect members, they were all killed by the other saints present. Even so, all the major sects in Tsang State were in a state of panic. There were rumors that the evil spirit sect was going to rise from the ashes again. The world was going to be plunged into misery and suffering again. Now, a Dharma king had broken out of the seal. Once he recovered in the future, how could Sung State stop him without a arch? Many people could only hope that there would be thearch-level figures in the territories outside Sung State to deal with the evil spirit sect. After Lu Ming and the other two asked around, they continued to step on the flying shuttle and headed for Dragon God Valley. When they returned to the southeast of Sung State, Lu Ming adjusted the flying shuttle and headed for the Lu family castle. Chapter 1588. Soon, the Lu family fortress came into view. The three of them got off the flying shuttle. After Lu Ming kept the flying shuttle, the three of them flew towards the Lu family fortress. "It's young Master Lu!" The people of the Lu family fortress recognized Lu Ming immediately, and welcomed the three of them into the fortress. "Junior Lu Ming actually took in a disciple here. I'd like to meet her." Tian Chui was very curious. Xuaningxin was the same. They were still young, which was the golden age for cultivation. Usually, they would not take in disciples because it would distract them. They would only consider taking in disciples when they reached a certain age and passed the golden age of cultivation. Lu Ming was so young, and he had taken in a disciple. His disciple would definitely be extraordinary. Lu Ming's eyes were also filled with anticipation. Xiang Xiang's talent was definitely shocking. They had not seen each other for a year. How high was Xiang Xiang's cultivation? "Young Master Lu!" Lu Jinghao greeted them from afar. "Patriarch Lu, these two are my senior brothers and senior sisters." Lu Ming introduced Tian Chui and Xuaningxin to Lu Jinghao. Lu Jinghao quickly bowed to Tian Chui and Xuaningxin. After that, they went to the main hall of the Lu family fortress. Once they were seated, the maids served them tea. "Patriarch Lu, where's Xiang Xiang?" Lu Ming asked. "Xiang Xiang is cultivating in seclusion. I've already asked Wan Jun to call her," Lu Jinghao said. Lu Ming nodded and said, "Patriarch Lu, Lu Ming has a favor to ask of you." "Please speak, young master." "As long as the Lu family fortress can do it, I will do it," Lu Jinghao said. "Patriarch Lu, you're exaggerating. It's not a big deal. I have some friends who would like to settle down in the Lu family fortress." "Is that okay?" Lu Ming said. "Of course." "How many are there?" Lu Jinghao asked. "A few hundred people." "Let's go out and take a look." After saying that, Lu Ming walked out of the hall. He arrived at the courtyard outside the hall and waved his hand. Feng Ling and the villagers of the Feng family village all appeared in the courtyard. As soon as Feng Ling and the others appeared, they looked around. "Feng Ling, village chief, it's me," Lu Ming said with a smile. "You are Brother Lu?" Feng Ling widened her eyes and looked at Lu Ming in surprise. Back then, Lu Ming had disguised himself. Now that he had regained his original appearance, Feng Ling, the village chief, and the others naturally couldn't recognize Lu Ming. "It's me," Lu Ming smiled and said. "Village chief, we are already in the southeast of Sung province. How about you all stay here in the future?" "Brother Lu, I'll do as you say," the village chief said. "Young Master Lu, don't worry. I'll ask someone to arrange a place for them to stay. I'll find a good place to settle them down," Lu Jinghao said. Then, he called an elder of the Lu family to bring Feng Ling, the village chief, and the others to settle down. In this way, one of Lu Ming's worries was removed. "Master!" A clear and crisp voice could be heard. A figure flashed and a little girl of about 7 or 8 years old appeared in front of Lu Ming. She was Lu Xiangxiang. Xiang Xiang was followed by Lu Wanjun. "Xiang Xiang, why aren't you greeting your master? You don't know the rules," Lu Wanjun reprimanded. "Disciple greets master." Xiang Xiang obediently bowed to Lu Ming. Hee, there's no need for that. Come, let me introduce you. This is my senior brother, you should call him 7th Martial Uncle. This is my senior sister, you should call her 8th Martial Aunt. Lu Ming pointed at Tian Chui and Xuaningxin as he introduced them. Xiang Xiang greets 7th Martial Uncle and 8th Martial Aunt. Xiang Xiang bowed to Tian Chui and Xuaningxin obediently. Ha ha, good girl, this is a gift from 8th Martial Ant. Xuanixin took out a green orb and gave it to Xiang Xiang. It was a martial emperor weapon as a gift. Here, 7th Martial Uncle has a gift for you too. Tian Chui grinned and took out an emperor spirit weapon and gave it to Xiang Xiang. Xiang Xiang, your cultivation has reached the 9th layer martial emperor realm? At that instant, Lu Ming's eyes flickered with astonishment. I've just reached the 9th layer martial emperor realm a few days ago. Xiang Xiang nodded. Lu Ming's eyelids twitched as his heart skipped a beat. 1 year, in just 1 year, Xiang Xiang's cultivation had reached the 9th layer martial emperor realm. That speed was too shocking. Furthermore, she had not received any resources from the top sects at the Lu clan fort. Lu Ming was dumbfounded by her speed. It's not bad to reach the 9th layer martial emperor realm at your age. Xiang Xiang, how long have you been cultivating? Tian Chui asked. Xiang Xiang has been cultivating for a year. A year ago, Master taught me how to cultivate, Xiang Xiang said. A year, that's not bad. Wait, what? A year? Tian Chui nodded and immediately reacted. He opened his mouth wider and wider as he stared at Xiang Xiang in disbelief. Xuanixin stared with her mouth agape. A year ago, before she had even started cultivating, she had reached the 9th layer martial emperor realm in just a year. Tian Chui and Xuanixin were dumbfounded by her speed. Even though they were in the Yuanlu, where many geniuses were able to cultivate at a shocking speed, they had never heard of anyone reaching the 9th layer martial emperor realm in just a year. Beside them, Lu Wanjun and Lu Zhenghao wore excited and relieved smiles. As a matter of fact, they had been shocked by Xiang Xiang's speed of cultivation at the beginning, but they were now filled with excitement. Xiang Xiang blinked her eyes and glanced curiously at the dumbfounded Tian Chui and Xuanixin. She could not understand why her martial uncle and martial aunt were acting like this. After a while, Tian Chui and Xuanixin finally collected their thoughts. Junior brother, I'm so jealous of you, to be able to recruit such a great disciple. If I had a disciple like her, even if I don't cultivate, I would teach her well. Tian Chui's gaze toward Lu Ming was filled with jealousy. As her martial uncle, you should teach her more in the future, Lu Ming said with a smile. The group chatted as night fell. Lu Zhenghao prepared a feast for them. That night, Lu Ming and the others stayed at the Lu clan fort. The next morning, Lu Ming bade farewell to Lu Zhenghao and Lu Wanjun. Mother, Grandpa, take care! Xiang Xiang reluctantly bid farewell to Lu Zhenghao and Lu Wanjun. Xiang Xiang, you must listen to your master and cultivate well in the Dragon God Valley. Do you understand? Lu Wanjun's eyes were filled with reluctance as tears began to roll down her cheeks. Mother, don't cry. Xiang Xiang will find time to visit you, Xiang Xiang said obediently. Following this, Xiang Xiang bade farewell to Lu Zhenghao. Patriarch Lu, young mistress, see you later. Lu Ming cupped his fists and left with Xiang Xiang, disappearing from the sight of Lu Zhenghao and the others. After flying for a while, Lu Ming took out the piercing sky shuttle. The four of them boarded the shuttle and headed toward the Dragon God Valley. Chapter 1589. The Lu family fort was very close to the Dragon God Valley. They arrived shortly after taking the flying shuttle. As they approached the Dragon God Valley, the group got off the flying shuttle and stepped into the Dragon God Valley, heading towards the Cloud Dragon Valley. Xiang Xiang, are you cold? Lu Ming turned to look at Xiang Xiang. The little girl's face was red from the cold. I'm not cold. Xiang Xiang shook her head. A layer of green light emanated from her body to block the cold air outside. Below them, the snowy mountain passed by. Soon, they arrived at the Cloud Dragon Valley. Mingner, come to my cave abode! Lu Ming and the rest had just stepped into the Cloud Dragon Valley when the Cloud Dragon Valley Master's voice rang in Lu Ming's ears. With the Cloud Dragon Valley Master's cultivation, his spiritual consciousness could cover the entire Cloud Dragon Valley. It was not difficult for him to know that they had returned. Senior brother, senior sister, Master is looking for me. I'll go to Master's cave abode first, Lu Ming said. All right, junior brother, go ahead. Let's go back to the cave abode first, Xuanning said. Lu Ming nodded and led Xiang Xiang deeper into the Cloud Dragon Valley. Soon, Lu Ming arrived at the Cloud Dragon Valley Master's cave abode. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master was sitting on a futon in the cave abode. Disciple Lu Ming greets Master! Lu Ming cupped his fists and bowed to the Cloud Dragon Valley Master. Grand Disciple Xiang Xiang greets Grand Master! Xiang Xiang was very obedient. When she saw Lu Ming bowing, she hurriedly bowed as well. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master was slightly taken aback. He looked at Xiang Xiang and asked, Ming'er, is this your disciple? Yes, this is the disciple I took in a year ago. I'll need Master's guidance in the future, Lu Ming said. The Valley Master of the Cloud Dragon Valley sized up Xiang Xiang carefully. Then, his eyes flickered and he revealed a look of surprise. Following which, the Valley Master of the Cloud Dragon Valley seemed to have a glint in his eyes as he carefully stared at Xiang Xiang. The more he looked at her, the stronger the glint in his eyes became. Finally, a look of shock flashed across his face. Ming'er, this disciple of yours is incredible! The Cloud Dragon Valley Master exclaimed. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He knew that the Cloud Dragon Valley Master had noticed that Xiang Xiang was extraordinary. Little girl, come here and let your Grand Master take a good look, the Cloud Dragon Valley Master said gently. Yes, Grand Master. Xiang Xiang obediently walked over to the Cloud Dragon Valley Master's side. Ha ha, what a sensible little girl. Little girl, your master might not have that much time to guide you. In the future, Grand Master will guide you in your cultivation. Yunlongu stroked Xiang Xiang's head and laughed. Thank you, Master! Lu Ming was overjoyed. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master's cultivation level was much higher than his. It was unfathomable. If he were to guide Xiangxiang, she would be much stronger than if he were to guide her. Ming'er, after being outside for a year, how is the removal of the killing intent in the depths of your soul? The Cloud Dragon Valley Master's tone changed. It has been completely removed. Lu Ming nodded. That's good. Ming'er, let me tell you a piece of bad news. A few days ago, I received news that the Divine Son of the Sky Divinity Sect has broken through to the Sacred Realm. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master said with a solemn expression. The Divine Son has broken through to the Sacred Realm? Lu Ming raised his eyebrows. Ming'er, there is still 1.5 years until the next treasure sorting meeting. In this 1.5 years, even if you cultivate with all your might, it will be difficult for you to catch up to the Divine Son. Therefore, I will send you to a place where you might have a chance to fight, the Cloud Dragon Valley Master said. Master, where is it? Lu Ming asked curiously. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master had said a year ago that he would send him to a place and asked him to return after a year. Lu Ming had always been very curious. That place is called the 100-Tribe Battlefield. It is an extremely dangerous place, but also a place filled with endless opportunities. Only by going there will you have a chance to fight with the Divine Son in the next treasure sorting meeting. As for the specific situation, I will tell you when we arrive at the place of departure. All right, bring Xiang Xiang out and arrange a place for Xiang Xiang to stay. Bring her to familiarize herself with the Cloud Dragon Valley. We will depart in 3 days, the Cloud Dragon Valley Master said. Lu Ming nodded and bade farewell to the Cloud Dragon Valley Master. He then left the Cloud Dragon Valley Master's cave dwelling with Xiang Xiang. After that, Lu Ming picked a cave dwelling near his cave dwelling for Xiang Xiang to stay in. The Cloud Dragon Valley was extremely huge and there were many cave dwellings. However, there were only slightly more than 100 people, so most of the cave dwellings were empty. Xiang Xiang, you can ask me if you have any questions about your cultivation during this period of time, Lu Ming said to Xiang Xiang. Yes, Master. I do have some questions. Xiang Xiang nodded and began to ask all the questions she had during this period of time. Lu Ming patiently answered Xiang Xiang one by one. Half a day later, Xiang Xiang returned to the cave dwelling to cultivate in satisfaction. Lu Ming appeared in the mountain river diagram. Ming Lian's second body sat on a mountain peak in the mountain river diagram. A stone plate floated above his head and emitted a vast and terrifying aura. This stone plate was the Taiji stone plate that he had obtained from the Tianfeng Plains. During this period of time, Ming Lian's second body had been studying it. In the end, he concluded that it should be a formation plate, an extremely terrifying formation plate. With the help of this formation plate, Ming Lian's second body had consecutively lit 2 spirit lamps in a short period of time. Now, Ming Lian's second body had already lit 8 spirit lamps. Over the past year, his second body had been cultivating and had made great progress. With his second body's current cultivation, he could communicate with the precepts through inscriptions and try to use the power of the precepts to become a sage to be. However, Lu Ming would not do so now. 8 spirit lamps were too few. He needed to light 10 spirit lamps before he could consider becoming a sage to be. Lu Ming called this formation plate the Taiji formation plate. Buzz! With a thought, golden spirit fire spread out from between Ming Lian's second body's eyebrows and poured into the Taiji formation plate. Suddenly, the Taiji formation plate shone and a Taiji yin-yang diagram appeared, emitting a terrifying pressure. The Taiji yin-yang diagram seemed to contain terrifying killing and sealing power. It was highly likely that it was an imperial weapon, which was on the same level as the Phoenix Ancient Mirror. With Ming Lian's second body's cultivation, it was difficult for him to unleash 1/10,000th of the Taiji formation plate's power. Even so, Lu Ming felt that Ming Lian's second body could easily kill a 9th-level martial royal, or even an ordinary sage-to-be by controlling the Taiji formation plate. Lu Ming's face revealed a satisfied smile. He had gained a lot in the Tianfeng Plains this time. Just this Taiji formation plate alone was a priceless treasure. It had greatly increased Lu Ming's combat strength. Ming Lian's second body could become Lu Ming's strongest trump card. After looking at it for a while, Lu Ming's main body left the mountain river diagram and closed his eyes to cultivate. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Lu Ming told Xiang Xiang to stay in the Cloud Dragon Valley, and went to the Cloud Dragon Valley Master's cave again. Minger, I'll take you to Cloud Emperor Mountain first. If you want to go to the 100-tribe battlefield, you must go through Cloud Emperor Mountain, the Cloud Dragon Valley Master explained. Cloud Emperor Mountain? Lu Ming was confused as he had never heard of such a place in the Tsung continent. Cloud Emperor Mountain is not located in the Tsung continent, but in another continent close to the Tsung continent called Cloud Continent. Cloud Emperor Mountain is the strongest force in Cloud Continent and has a martial monarch expert. Chapter 1590. An Emperor-class force. Lu Ming's heart trembled. An Emperor-class force had a great emperor overseeing it. It was more powerful than any sect in Tsang State, and even more powerful than all the sects in Tsang State combined. Having a great emperor overseeing it, and not overseeing it were 2 completely different things. However, the books that Lu Ming had read previously only introduced Tsang State. There was very little information outside of Tsang State. Yuan continent is vast and boundless. Every Emperor-class expert can occupy a territory and establish a force. That territory is a state, and it is called by the name of the Great Emperor. The Great Emperor of Cloud Emperor Mountain is called Cloud Emperor. Therefore, the territory that Cloud Emperor is in is called Cloud State. Tsang State originated from Emperor Tsung. If a new Great Emperor appears in Tsang State in the future, the name might change. Cloud Dragon Valley Master explained. A great emperor can establish a state. Lu Ming couldn't help but yearn for it. Tsang State was so vast, but it was only the territory that Emperor Tsung occupied. Master, how many states are there in Yuan continent? Lu Ming asked curiously. Cloud Dragon Valley Master shook his head and said, Yuan continent is too vast, and there are countless states. I don't know either. Countless states? Lu Ming was dumbfounded. Each state represented a great emperor. Could there be that many great emperors in Yuan continent? Minger, I have a map here. It shows some of the territories near Tsang State. Take a good look on the way. A jade talisman appeared in Cloud Dragon Valley Master's hand and he passed it to Lu Ming. Then, he waved his hand and brought Lu Ming to the sky outside Divine Dragon Valley. Then, he waved his hand and a flying shuttle appeared in the sky. The flying shuttle was purple gold in color. It had a smooth curve and there were mysterious patterns carved on it. It looked very beautiful. At first glance, one could tell that it was much more advanced than the flying shuttle that Lu Ming had. Minger, come on up! Cloud Dragon Valley Master stepped into the flying shuttle and Lu Ming followed behind. Swoosh! Cloud Dragon Valley Master controlled the flying shuttle and it turned into a ray of light and disappeared. So fast! Lu Ming looked out through the crystal glass. The mountains and rivers below passed by in the blink of an eye at an incredible speed. It was at least dozens of times faster than his sky-piercing shuttle. This was definitely a top-notch flying shuttle. Lu Ming observed for a while before sitting down with his legs crossed. He then took out the jade talisman that Valley Master Yunlong had given him. With a sweep of his spiritual sense, a map was projected into Lu Ming's mind. This map was divided into different regions, and each region was a large state. There were a total of dozens of large states, and they were all states near the Tsung state. The Tsung prefecture was in the southeast of the map, close to the boundless ocean. The Cloud prefecture where the Cloud Emperor Mountain was located was in the northwest of the Tsung prefecture, close to the Tsang prefecture. That's Emperor District's D family! Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. In the north of the Azure prefecture, there was another prefecture called the Emperor prefecture. It was stated that the Emperor prefecture was under the control of the D clan. Could it be D? D Xian's family, the D family, actually has a great emperor. Lu Ming frowned slightly. I once injured D Xian in the Divine Wilderness continent. I'm afraid he won't let it go so easily. I have to find a chance to get rid of him in the future to prevent future troubles. Lu Ming thought to himself. Then, Lu Ming imprinted the map in his mind and quietly cultivated. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master's sky-piercing shuttle was too fast. In just 2 days, they had crossed the entire Tsang state, entered the Cloud state, and arrived at a vast mountain. Here, the two got off the sky-piercing shuttle. What a majestic mountain! Looking at the mountain in front of him, Lu Ming couldn't help but exclaim. The Tsang mountains were already majestic, but there was still a big gap between them and the mountain in front of him. So this is the Cloud Emperor Mountain? Looking at the mountain from afar, Lu Ming could feel an imperious aura being emitted from the Cloud Emperor Mountain. It was as if the aura was standing at the peak of the world, causing everyone to bow down and worship it. This was the imperiousness of a martial monarch. There was a martial monarch hibernating in the mountain. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master took out a sound-conducting jade talisman and transmitted a message. Not long after, an old man in a white robe arrived from the Cloud Emperor Mountain. Brother Yun, why are you so free today to visit my Cloud Emperor Mountain? The old man in the white robe said with a smile. It's nothing much, I'm just here to send my disciple to the 100-tribe battlefield and visit your old friend. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master said. Haha, you're not here to visit me, you're here to send your disciple to the 100-tribe battlefield. The old man in the white robe burst out laughing as he glanced at Lu Ming and said, Brother Yun, your disciple's cultivation is only at the peak 6th layer martial dominator realm. Isn't it a bit too low for him to enter the 100-tribe battlefield? The 100-tribe battlefield is filled with danger. It's fine, the danger is the best way to train him. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master said. Alright, come with me. The Cloud Emperor Mountain is going to arrange for a group of young geniuses to enter the 100-tribe battlefield to train themselves. You can go together and take care of each other, the old man in the white robe said. He then led Lu Ming and the Cloud Dragon Valley Master into the Cloud Emperor Mountain and arranged a residence for them to stay in. Brother Yun, stay here for 2 days. I'll bring this young man to the 100-tribe battlefield in 2 days' time. After saying this, the old man in the white robe left. Minger, you must be curious about what kind of place the 100-tribe battlefield is, right? At that instant, the Cloud Space Valley Master glanced at Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded his head. He was indeed curious about it. Legend has it that in ancient times, the 100-tribe war took place in that area. That war caused the heavens to collapse and the earth to crack. It was incomparably tragic. Legend has it that many Emperor-level experts died. That was the 100-tribe battlefield. Because too many experts died in the 100-tribe battlefield, especially Emperor-level experts, the laws of heaven and earth in that area were messed up. Since the Saint Realm experts had comprehended the laws of heaven and earth, they could not enter at all. Once they entered, they would be affected by the chaotic laws of heaven and earth, causing their own laws to be disrupted. Once a Saint Realm expert entered, his laws would be disrupted and he would die of madness. In the lightest case, his cultivation would be crippled. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master explained. It's that terrifying? Lu Ming was shocked. That's right. Therefore, experts above the Saint Realm do not dare to enter the 100-tribe battlefield. Only those below the Saint Realm can enter. As for the half-sages, some have comprehended the laws of heaven and earth, but they are not strong enough, so they can also enter. Moreover, there are too many experts who participated in the 100-tribe battlefield, and too many experts have died. That territory is filled with countless treasures, and it is simply a huge treasure trove. Many Emperor-level forces will send experts in, and over time, it has evolved into a training ground for prodigies. Today, it has become the top choice for the various Emperor-level forces prodigies to train. Many exceptional prodigies from Emperor-level forces enter to train themselves in life and death situations, seeking breakthroughs. Therefore, it is a place where opportunities and dangers coexist. Because many prodigies enter to train themselves, there is no need for a reason to make a move there. As long as someone feels that you are worthy of training, they will make a move on you. Chapter 1591. Why wouldn't I dare? That's exactly what I want. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with anticipation and a strong desire to battle. The 100-race battlefield was actually a training ground for the various Emperor-level factions. How many geniuses would gather there? Lu Ming felt the blood in his body start to boil. Only then would it be interesting to clash with other geniuses and force Lu Ming to advance quickly. Minger, I was right about you. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master smiled, but in the next moment, his smile disappeared and his face turned serious. Cultivators, especially geniuses, are often able to unlock their potential and break through their shackles in the face of death. Therefore, anyone who dares to enter the 100-race battlefield is a genius among geniuses. Furthermore, they are mentally tough and have terrifying battle abilities. Because ordinary people don't dare to enter the 100-race battlefield, life and death battles are too common. Therefore, Minger, you must be careful and not let your guard down. I understand. Lu Ming nodded. I have an introduction to the 100-race battlefield here. Take a look, it will be of some help to you. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master took out a jade talisman and handed it to Lu Ming. Then, the two returned to their rooms. Lu Ming took out the jade talisman and read it. In the blink of an eye, 2 days had passed. 2 days later, the white-robed elder came to the courtyard. Little guy, come with me. The white-robed elder smiled. Master, I'll take my leave. Lu Ming cupped his fists at the Cloud Dragon Valley Master. Go, I believe in you. You will definitely be able to defeat a strong opponent in the next treasure sorting meeting. At that time, you will be able to look down on the younger generation of the Tsung state. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master said. Ha, Brother Yun, you have a lot of confidence in your disciple. The white-robed elder smiled and waved his hand. A gush of energy shrouded Lu Ming, and he soared into the sky with Lu Ming. After a while, the white-robed elder brought Lu Ming to a canyon. In the canyon, there was a huge altar with inscriptions carved all around. Teleportation altar! Lu Ming could tell at a glance that this was a teleportation altar. This was his first time seeing a teleportation altar in the Yuan continent. The Yuanlu space was too stable. If one wanted to set up a teleportation altar to teleport across regions, the price would be very high. The amount of resources required would also be shocking. In the Divine Dragon Valley, There were only teleportation altars that led to the sea. There weren't any teleportation altars that led to the other regions of the Yuan continent. Perhaps, only Imperial forces had them. Beside the altar, there were 4 young men. 1 woman and 3 men. The woman was tall and slender. She wore silver armor, but it still couldn't hide her fiery figure. She looked valiant and cool. The other 3 young men were wearing white robes with clouds embroidered on them. When the white-robed old man arrived with Lu Ming, the 4 young men looked at Lu Ming curiously. "Let me introduce him to you. His name is Lu Ming. He will be going to the 100-tribe battlefield with you." The white-robed old man gave a simple introduction. "Lu Ming? That's an unfamiliar name. Why haven't I heard of it before?" One of the young men was puzzled. He had dark green hair and looked very conspicuous. "He's not from Cloud Emperor Mountain. He's from Sangzhou," the white-robed old man introduced. "Sangzhou?" When the green-haired young man heard that Lu Ming was from Sangzhou, his eyes were filled with disdain. He looked at Lu Ming and said, "You're only a rank 6 Marshal Royal. How dare you enter the 100-tribe battlefield? You're courting death." Lu Ming frowned and said, "I'll be careful in the 100-tribe battlefield." "Careful? Are you trying to rely on us? Let me tell you, if you encounter danger in the 100-tribe battlefield, we won't save you." The green-haired young man sneered and his eyes were filled with disdain. "I'll be responsible for my own life. If I encounter danger and get killed, it's because I'm not skilled enough." Lu Ming's voice turned cold. The tone of the green-haired young man had displeased him. Seeing that Lu Ming dared to speak to him with a cold expression, the green-haired young man harumphed as his eyes flickered and said, "Trash from Sangzhou, let's see how you'll die." "Yokai, that's enough, that's enough." At this moment, the lady in silver armor scolded. The green-haired young man seemed to be afraid of the lady in silver armor. He chuckled coldly and did not say anything else. "Lu Ming, I'm Yunqi." The lady in silver armor introduced herself. "Nice to meet you." Lu Ming nodded. "Lu Ming, don't mind Yunkai's words. Since you're going to the 100-tribe battlefield with us, we'll take care of each other when the time comes," Yunqi said. In other words, if they were to encounter danger, they would take care of Lu Ming as long as it was within their capabilities. These geniuses from monarch factions had a sense of superiority when facing those who were not from monarch factions. Although Yunqi was amiable, she still had a faint sense of superiority. Lu Ming smiled slightly and did not comment, nor did he explain. "Lu Ming, these 2 are called Yefeng and Yunk." Then, Yunqi introduced the other 2 young men to Lu Ming. The other 2 young men nodded slightly at Lu Ming. "All right, now that you all know each other, let's go," the white-robed old man said. Everyone nodded and stepped onto the teleportation altar one after another. The white-robed old man waved his hand, and the altar began to glow. A spatial door was formed, and Lu Ming and the other 4 stepped in one after another. Heaven and earth spun, and Lu Ming felt his vision darken. What a strong spatial rotational force! A thought flashed through Lu Ming's mind. The more stable the space was, the stronger the rotational force during spatial teleportation. The next moment, the rotational force disappeared, and Lu Ming found himself on a huge platform. The platform should be on a mountain peak. Looking into the distance, what came into view was a boundless hilly area. The 100-tribe battlefield is up ahead. We are now outside the 100-tribe battlefield, Yunqi said. Lu Ming nodded. He had read the introduction of the 100-tribe battlefield that the Cloud Dragon Valley Master had given him. Any monarch faction that wanted to enter the 100-tribe battlefield could only teleport outside the 100-tribe battlefield. Teleportation arrays could not be built inside the 100-tribe battlefield, as the laws were too chaotic. "Let's go," Yunqi said and led the way. This team was led by Yunqi. Her cultivation was the highest at 9th level Martial Emperor, while the other 3 were 8th level Martial Emperors. Moreover, those who dared to enter the 100-tribe battlefield to train were all very strong. Lu Ming estimated that Yunqi and the other 3 were all superior earthly spiritual bodies. The 5 of them flew forward, and soon, A deep ditch appeared in front of them. This ditch was created by later generations. It's a sign that we have officially entered the 100-tribe battlefield, Yunshi said. The 5 of them flew over the ditch. Chapter 1592. This chaos could not be seen with the naked eye. Even those with low cultivation could not feel it. Only those who had reached a certain level could feel it. However, they were not Saint Realm cultivators, so the chaotic laws did not affect them much. The 100-clan battlefield had taken place in ancient times. It was extremely far away from the present. The earth had regained its vitality and was the same as the outside world, except for the chaotic laws. Here, the 5 of them retracted their auras and became careful. The closer we are to the center of the 100-clan battlefield, the more powerful cultivators there are. We should be fine if we are careful in the periphery, Yunshi whispered. They nodded. The 100-clan battlefield. The closer to the center of the 100-clan battlefield, the stronger the cultivators who had participated in the war. Naturally, there were many treasures left behind. Therefore, the more powerful the prodigies, the more they would gather in the center to find opportunities and opponents to train themselves. Some of the weaker prodigies were active in the periphery. The 5 of them ran forward and did not encounter any danger. They occasionally encountered some demonic beasts, but most of them were not very powerful. The 100-clan battlefield was extremely huge. Soon, they had traveled tens of thousands of miles. Whoosh! At this moment, a soft sound rang out. Yun Feng screamed as one of his arms flew out and blood splattered everywhere. Oh no, someone is attacking us! Yun Shi and the others were shocked. Whoosh! The soft sound of something breaking through the air rang out again. Retreat! Yun Shi yelled and retreated quickly. The others also retreated quickly. Poof! They retreated quickly enough, but Yun Kei was still hit. A deep sword wound appeared on his chest, and blood flowed out. His spiritual body wriggled crazily, trying to recover, but it seemed to be blocked by a terrifying killing intent that constantly destroyed his spiritual body, making it difficult for him to recover in a short period of time. Yun Feng was the same. One of his arms had been cut off and wanted to regrow, but there was a terrifying murderous intent that prevented his spiritual body from regrowing. The 1,000 kill sword technique! It's someone from the 1,000 kill house! Yun Kai roared, his face full of fear. Whoosh! At this moment, another soft sound rang out. There seemed to be a sword light stabbing toward Yun Kai. They could only feel a faint fluctuation, but they could not see the figure of the attacker. Even the sword light could not be seen. It was extremely terrifying. A silver spear appeared in Yunshi's hand, and she swept it out. Clang! Yunshi's spear seemed to have collided with a battle sword. With a loud boom, she blocked the sword. Yun Kai was so scared that he felt a chill run down his spine. A battle sword appeared in his hand, and it emitted a terrifying aura. Clearly, it was a saint weapon. At the same time, Yun Kei and Yun Feng both took out their saint weapons. The prodigies of Emperor-level forces naturally did not lack sacred weapons. It's the 1,000 Slayer Manor's concealment technique and shadowless sword. Let's surround him and prevent him from launching a sneak attack, Yunshi shouted. The 5 of them immediately formed a circle and looked around nervously. Damn it! How unlucky! The moment he entered the 100-clan battlefield, he encountered the assassins of the 1,000 Slayer Manor. Yun Kei shouted angrily. At this moment, he had finally erased the terrifying murderous aura. The wound on his chest had begun to heal. As for Yun Feng, his arm began to grow. Lu Ming, guard your side well. If you can't, then get out of here quickly so that you don't implicate us, Yun Kai said coldly. Whoosh! At this moment, a soft sound rang out again. This time, it was aimed at Yunshi. Yunshi's pupils contracted rapidly. She swept out her spear, but when she swept it out, she realized that she had missed. Then, with a whoosh, the sword light pierced toward Yun Kai. Get out of here! Yun Kai roared and slashed out with his battle sword. Its power was extremely terrifying. Yun Kai's cultivation was at the peak of the 8th layer martial emperor realm. It was obvious that he had a superior earth spiritual body. With a saint weapon, he could easily kill someone at the peak of the 9th layer martial emperor realm. However, this sword strike still missed. The sword she landed on the ground and left a long sword mark that was dozens of meters deep. It directly split a hill in half. Whoosh! 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 The sound of the air being torn apart kept ringing out. The terrifying sword light kept stabbing, but it was not aimed at Yun Shi. Sometimes it was aimed at Yun Kai, sometimes it was aimed at Lu Ming. Only the sound of the sword could be heard, but the attacker and the sword were nowhere to be seen. Moreover, the sword light was extremely fast and powerful. It was ruthless and accurate. They were completely at a disadvantage. A while later, another sword wound was added to Yun Feng's body. Such a terrifying assassination technique! Lu Ming frowned slightly too. Their opponent's concealment technique was too powerful. He was able to completely conceal his figure. They could not even sense his aura. They were completely at a disadvantage. They could only endure the attacks without being able to counterattack. His cultivation is most likely at the 8th layer martial emperor realm, Yun Shi said. What should we do? We can't let this go on. We're being too passive, Yun Kai said. Let's go over there. There's a canyon there. Once we enter the canyon, it'll be advantageous for us, Yun Shi yelled. Their opponent's movement was too fast. The place was spacious, allowing him to move freely. Their counterattack could not hit him. If they entered the canyon, their opponent's movements would be greatly restricted. Bang! The spear in Yun Shi's hand expanded rapidly, turning into a 1,000-meter-long spear glow that swept across the place. Unfortunately, it still failed to hit her opponent. Let's go! At that instant, Yun Shi let out a roar and dashed toward the canyon. Lu Ming and the others followed Yun Shi and dashed in that direction. But before she could even get halfway, a terrifying sword light pierced toward Yun Shi's head. Yun Shi's pupils shrank, and she abruptly stopped. Her spear swept up, and with a clang, she blocked her opponent's sword. At the same time, another sword light pierced toward Yun Feng from behind. Yun Feng roared angrily and slashed his sword backward. With a clang, he blocked the sword light as well. However, their expressions became even more unsightly. There are 2 assassins from the 1,000 Killers Manor! Yun Kai yelled with a pale face. One assassin was already very troublesome to deal with. Now 2 had appeared at the same time. Whoosh! At that moment, the black wings on Lu Ming's back spread open. With a flap, Lu Ming soared into the sky and left Yun Shi's group, flying into the distance. Damn it! That bastard is so afraid of death that he wants to escape by himself. Yun Kai roared angrily. Lu Ming's expression was cold, and he did not say a word. His black wings flapped rapidly as he flew forward. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared from Yun Shi's and Yun Kai's line of sight. What a coward! If I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have brought him along, Yun Kai said. Yun Feng and Yun Kai's expressions were somewhat ugly. There's one less assassin. One of them was lured away by Lu Ming. At this moment Yun Shi spoke. Chapter 1593. Haha, that guy is too smart for his own good. He's really digging his own grave. Yun Kai burst out laughing in a mocking tone. Meanwhile, Lu Ming suddenly came to a stop after flying for a while. He then turned around and glanced behind him coldly. Buzz! Behind him, a gentle ripple could be felt, as a figure wrapped in a black robe appeared, holding a sword in his hand. The sword was transparent and as thin as a cicada's wing. As an assassin, you dare to show yourself? Lu Ming spoke in a calm tone. Why would I need to conceal myself when dealing with a mere 6th-layer martial dominator like you? The black-robed assassin said in a cold voice. Oh, is that so? Don't regret it. There was a faint smile at the corners of Lu Ming's lips. I'll kill you with a single slash. A cold voice could be heard. Following this, the assassin made his move. With a flicker, his figure traveled a few hundred meters and appeared before Lu Ming in the blink of an eye. The sword as thin as a cicada's wing was thrust in Lu Ming's direction. A sacred weapon! The sword as thin as a cicada's wing was a sacred weapon. A terrifying sword glow pierced toward Lu Ming's throat at an unbelievable speed. Bang! The cry of a dragon could be heard coming from Lu Ming's body. Without realizing it, he had already put on the flowing force gloves. His true force was rapidly inserted into the flowing force gloves, causing them to become as heavy as a mountain. Lu Ming threw out a punch, which caused the air to be compressed together. A terrifying force was hurled toward the assassin. Buzz! The assassin's sword vibrated vigorously as it broke through the force of Lu Ming's fist and stabbed into Lu Ming's fist. Following a clank, a terrifying force was emitted from Lu Ming's fist, which surged toward the assassin like a landslide. The assassin's expression changed tremendously. The sword as thin as a cicada's wing continued to vibrate, while his figure was sent flying by the terrifying force of the punch. Puff! The assassin spat out a mouthful of blood, which wet the black cloth covering his mouth. His eyes, which were the only part exposed, were filled with astonishment. How could you possess such a powerful force? The other party spoke in disbelief. His cultivation was at the mid-8th layer martial dominator realm, which was almost 2 layers higher than Lu Ming's. He also possessed a superior earthly spirit body, but he was injured by Lu Ming with a single punch. You want to kill me with this little bit of power? Lu Ming said indifferently. Humph, so what if you are strong? What I specialize in is not strength, but assassination. Today, you will still die, the black-robed assassin said coldly. Then, his body moved and disappeared. It was as if he had disappeared into thin air. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes and scanned the surroundings. Whoosh! Suddenly, a streak of sword light came from behind Lu Ming, stabbing towards Lu Ming. Boom! Lu Ming twisted his body and threw a punch behind him. However, this punch struck nothing but air. A burst of fist energy flew out and created a large crater in a distant mountain peak. Whoosh! Immediately, a streak of sword light appeared on Lu Ming's left side and attacked Lu Ming at an incredible speed. Lu Ming threw another punch. Unfortunately, when he threw the punch, the streak of sword light disappeared again, and Lu Ming's punch landed in the air again. Whoosh! Whoosh! Following this, terrifying streaks of sword light appeared continuously. At the same time, 7 or 8 streaks of sword light came from different directions and stabbed towards Lu Ming. Piss off! The black dragon's spear appeared in Lu Ming's hand and he swung it horizontally. The long spear swept in all directions and all the sword cries disappeared. However, it still did not hit the opponent. At the crucial moment, the opponent dodged Lu Ming's attack with a terrifying movement technique. Let's see how many of my attacks you can dodge. When you lose your mind, it will be the time of your death. An ice-cold voice echoed in the air. However, it didn't come from a single direction. Instead, it was constantly changing. It seemed that with every word, the direction would change. This made Lu Ming unable to pinpoint the opponent's location. The opponent's assassination technique was indeed very terrifying. Those who were targeted by him had to maintain a high level of concentration at all times because the slightest carelessness would allow the opponent to seize the opportunity and kill them in one strike. If one had to maintain such a high level of concentration for a long time, one's mind would be exhausted. If that happened, only death would await them. Therefore, when Yunshi Yunkai and the others knew that it was an assassin from the Thousand Slayer Manor, their expressions became unsightly. The assassins from the Thousand Slayer Manor were synonymous with nightmares. Once targeted, there was only a slim chance of survival. Lu Ming held the long spear in his hand and stood still in the air. He spread out his spiritual sense. Soon after, the corner of Lu Ming's mouth curled into an indescribable smile. Suddenly, Lu Ming moved. The black dragon's spear suddenly pierced towards the back. Man and spear became one, like a streak of black lightning. This spear seemed to be piercing towards the air. But in the next instant, A miserable scream rang out. The black-robed assassin revealed himself, and Lu Ming's spear pierced through his dantian. The black-robed assassin's eyes widened in disbelief. He roared, "How is this possible? How did you discover me?" "Sorry, my spiritual strength is many times stronger than cultivators of the same level. You can hide your body and you can restrain your aura, but it's difficult to hide your spiritual strength." Lu Ming smiled faintly. "So that's how it is. Haha, but if you kill me, you'll also die." The black-robed assassin suddenly laughed crazily. As he laughed, he stopped breathing. The spear just now had already shattered the assassin's spiritual divinity. Lu Ming pulled out his spear and reached out with his hand, grabbing the assassin's spatial ring. The black-robed assassin was too confident in his concealment skills. So when Lu Ming attacked, the assassin was completely unprepared and was easily killed by Lu Ming. If the assassin had been prepared, it wouldn't have been so easy for Lu Ming to kill him. The assassin was also a top genius with an extremely strange movement technique. Whoosh! With a flap of his black wings, Lu Ming flew towards Yunxi and the others. At this moment, Yunxi, Yunkai, and the others were hiding in a canyon, carefully defending. We must find an opportunity to heavily injure this assassin. Otherwise, when the other assassin kills Lu Ming and returns, we'll be in danger even if we're in this canyon, Yunkai said. He believed that Lu Ming was dead for sure. Whoosh! At this moment, the sound of rushing wind came from the distance. Lu Ming was flying over. Yunkai's eyes suddenly widened, revealing a trace of disbelief. He shouted, "It's Lu Ming! He's actually not dead? He's actually still alive after being chased by an assassin from the Thousand Killers Manor?" With Lu Ming's cultivation, facing a terrifying assassin from the Thousand Killers Manor, he should be dead for sure. "I'm sorry to disappoint you." Lu Ming stood high in the sky, looking down at Yunkai. "Humph, it's just luck." Yunkai snorted coldly. Whoosh! At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly dove down, rushing towards the canyon. But when he was about to reach the canyon, Lu Ming suddenly turned around and stabbed his spear into the void. Chapter 1594. The black-clothed man's eyes were filled with disbelief. He didn't expect that Lu Ming would be able to discover him. At the critical moment, he used the long sword in his hand to block in front of him. Clang! The long spear collided with the black-clothed man's long sword. The long sword bent in an arc and collided with the black-clothed man's body. The black-clothed man's body shook violently and was sent flying. He slid on the ground, creating a several hundred-meter-long ditch. Swoosh! Lu Ming's figure didn't stop as he charged towards the black-clothed man. "Lu Ming, wait a moment!" Yunxi cried out in alarm. Lu Ming's heart shook. He landed beside the black-clothed man and pointed his long spear, sealing the black-clothed man's origin energy. "Why did you stop me?" Lu Ming looked at Yunxi. At this moment, Yunxi, Yunkai, and the others were dumbfounded. The Thousand Slayer Manor's assassin that was extremely troublesome to them was easily dealt with by Lu Ming. Lu Ming, once an assassin from the Thousand Slayer Manor is killed, they will leave behind a trace of killing mark on the body of the person who killed them. It's almost impossible to erase. Other assassins from the Thousand Slayer Manor will use this trace to find the killer. They won't rest until the killer is dead. Therefore, you can't kill this Thousand Slayer Manor's assassin. Yunxi took a deep breath to calm herself down and explained. "So that's how it is." Lu Ming's gaze flickered and he said helplessly, "Unfortunately, it's too late." "Too late?" Yunxi was stunned. Her beautiful eyes widened as she said, "Could it be that you've already killed someone?" "That's right. I've already killed the Thousand Slayer Manor's assassin who was chasing me earlier. Therefore, I don't mind killing one more person." After saying this, Lu Ming stabbed out with his long spear, killing the black-clothed assassin on the spot. A suction force came from his palm, and the assassin's storage ring and long sword were collected. Yunxi, Yunkai, and the others' faces were pale as they walked out of the valley. "Lu Ming, How did you discover the assassin's hiding place? Yunxi asked. My soul force is stronger, that's why I can sense the assassin's soul fluctuation, Lu Ming explained. There was nothing to hide. It was normal for some people to be gifted with powerful innate soul force. Lu Ming, you actually killed 2 assassins from Thousand Slayer Manor. Now please leave, Yun Kai said coldly from the side. Oh? Lu Ming looked at Yun Kai. You don't have to be unwilling. You already have the slaughter mark of the Thousand Slayer Manor on you. The assassins from the Thousand Slayer Manor and the 100 Clan battlefield will keep looking for you. I don't want to be implicated by you, Yun Kai said coldly. Hee hee. Lu Ming chuckled contemptuously. Previously, if it wasn't for Lu Ming, Yun Kai and the others wouldn't have stood a chance against the 2,000 Killers Manor's assassins. Now that the 1,000 Killers Manor's assassins were killed by Lu Ming, Yun Kai wanted to tell Lu Ming to leave so that he wouldn't be implicated by Lu Ming. How laughable! What are you laughing at? Today, you must leave, Yun Kai said coldly. There's no need for you to tell me to leave. It's not safe for me to stay with a piece of trash like you, Lu Ming said calmly. What did you say? How dare you say I'm a piece of trash, a mere 6th-layer martial dominator? Yun Kai was enraged as he snapped while pointing at Lu Ming. A mere 6th-layer martial dominator killed 2 assassins of the 1,000 Killers Manor. What were you doing just then? Lu Ming said disdainfully, causing Yun Kai's face to redden. It's just that my soul force is slightly stronger, Yun Kai retorted. Lu Ming ignored Yun Kai's words. He glanced at Yun Feng, Yun Kei, and Yun Xi and said, Is this your opinion too? Yun Feng and Yun Kei wore awkward looks on their faces. They did not dare to look at Lu Ming and shifted their gazes away. Their opinion was the same as Yun Kai's. If Lu Ming continued to stay with them, they would all die when the experts of the 1,000 Killers Manor arrived. Lu Ming, Yun Xi opened her mouth, but she stopped halfway with a guilty look on her face. It was reasonable for her to keep Lu Ming here, but her rationality told her that they would all die if she kept Lu Ming here. The assassins of the 1,000 Killers Manor were too terrifying. Besides, the 100-tribe battlefield was the sacred ground of the 1,000 Killers Manor, where countless geniuses gathered. The 1,000 Killers Manor would send a large number of geniuses to the 100-tribe battlefield every year to practice their assassination skills. Therefore, many geniuses were intimidated by the 1,000 Killers Manor at the 100-tribe battlefield. Those who were targeted by the 1,000 Killers Manor were rarely able to survive. That's enough, I understand. Lu Ming will take his leave now, Lu Ming said coldly as he turned around to leave. However, at that instant, Lu Ming's eyes flickered as he glanced in a certain direction. Whoosh! Whoosh! 3 figures could be seen flying toward them from that direction. The one in the middle was wearing a purple-golden robe. He had a slender and handsome figure, and there was a purple-colored sword-shaped mark on his forehead. His entire being was filled with a noble aura. Beside him were 2 other young men wearing purple-colored robes, who appeared to be extraordinary too. The 3 of them stopped above Lu Ming and his crew, staring down at Lu Ming and his crew. One of the young men glanced at Yun Xi with a hint of battle intent in his eyes. 9th-layer martial dominator realm, the same as me. Young master, how about I go and test my strength? Sure, go ahead. The noble young man in the middle nodded his head. Whoosh! The young man stepped forward and emitted a 9th-layer martial dominator realm aura, suppressing Yun Xi as he said, Fight me. This was the 100-tribe battlefield. There was no need for a reason to fight, as there were no rules here. There were only 2 reasons for the young geniuses to come here. Firstly, to train themselves. Secondly, to search for fortunate encounters. Only through great battles, only through killing, could one temper oneself. Once they stumbled into someone with a similar cultivation, it was normal for them to attack without a reason. On the other hand, those with a higher cultivation would not attack those with a lower cultivation, as there was no point in training themselves, unless they had some kind of treasure on them. They would either challenge those with a higher cultivation or those with the same cultivation level, to improve themselves in the face of death. Let's fight then. Yunshi held the spear in her hand and stepped into the air, facing the purple-robed young man. Kill! Without wasting any time, the purple-robed young man made his move. A light dot appeared on his forehead, and a battle sword flew out from it. He grabbed the sword in his hand and slashed at Yunshi. Whoosh! Yunshi lashed out with her spear like a silver lightning bolt. Clang! The spear and the battle sword collided, causing the sword intent and the spear glow to scatter in all directions. The two figures shuddered and were knocked a few steps backward. Without a doubt, the opponent was also a genius with a superior earthly spiritual body, possessing a shocking strength. Not bad, but it's far from enough, shouted the purple-clothed young man. A dot of light appeared on his arm. From that dot of light, a battle axe flew out and floated above his head. The battle axe seemed to have a connection with the battle sword in his hand, causing the power of the battle sword in his hand to become even stronger. Art of 10,000 Weapons, you're from the Wan clan. Chapter 1595. Not bad. Let's see how many of my weapons you can take. The purple-clad young man stepped forward and slashed out with his sword. The sword light tore through the void, and its power was even stronger than before. Flying Cloud's spear art! Yunshi shouted. Her long spear was like a dragon, thrusting out streaks of dazzling spear light toward the purple-clad young man. Clang! 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 The two of them clashed continuously, but they were still evenly matched. However, what was surprising was that the purple-clad young man's body shone with bright spots. A weapon flew out from each bright spot. These weapons floated around the purple-clad young man's body. These weapons seemed to be connected with each other. All the battle weapons she gathered in the purple-clad young man's battle sword, making the battle sword in his hand more and more terrifying. The purple-clad young man's weapon was only an emperor-level spiritual weapon, but it could borrow the chi of other spiritual weapons and merge them into one. Its power was even stronger than Yunshi's sacred weapon. Kill! The purple-clad young man became braver as he fought. He held a sword in his right hand and a battle axe in his left hand. He attacked from both sides and charged toward Yunshi. Slowly, Yunshi was being suppressed. What a strange domain! What a strange battle skill! There was a look of surprise in Lu Ming's eyes. His opponent's domain could actually use different weapons at the same time. When he used a sword, he could turn it into a sword domain. When he used an axe, he could turn it into an axe domain. It seemed to be similar to his chaotic domain. However, his opponent couldn't have cultivated the chaotic domain. 10,000 Weapons domain. An extremely rare domain flashed in Lu Ming's mind. It was the 10,000 Weapons domain. Legend had it that those who cultivated the 10,000 Weapons domain could control all the weapons in the world. No matter what weapon was used, it could turn into a corresponding weapon domain. Of course, it was only limited to weapons. It couldn't turn into a fire domain or water domain. Those were the specialties of the chaotic domain. However, it was still very amazing. Come out! Finally, the purple-clad young man shouted. Bright spots lit up on his body again, and weapons flew out one after another. There were a total of 18 different weapons floating around the purple-clad young man. All of them were Emperor-level spiritual weapons. When the battle weapon chi of the 18 Emperor-level spiritual weapons gathered, their power was shocking. Clang! Yunshi was sent flying by the sword. She spat out a mouthful of blood and her face pale. Yunshi had been defeated. He was no match for her at the same level. Look at your skills, you must be from the Yundi Mountain. The Yundi Mountain is just SOSO. The purple-clothed young man smiled disdainfully and did not continue to attack. He stepped into the air and returned to the noble young man's side. 18 different ruler-level spirit weapons flew into his body and disappeared. Yunshi's expression was ugly, but the 10,000 weapon chant practiced by the Wan family was really powerful. There are so many geniuses. Are they all geniuses from emperor-ranked powers? A thought flashed across Lu Ming's mind. How long had it been since he entered the 100-tribe battlefield? Previously, he had met the 1,000-slayer Manor's geniuses. Now, he was meeting the Wan clan's geniuses. They were all geniuses with high-grade Earth astrophysiques. Moreover, their cultivation techniques and battle skills were stronger than the previous. If such prodigies were to be placed in the Tsang prefecture, every single one of them would have the chance to compete for the position of the 10 great demon geniuses in the future. This caused the blood in his body to boil a little. Only in such an environment could one improve faster. At that instant, the noble young man glanced at the corpse of the 1,000-slayer Manor's assassin and said in astonishment, "The assassin of the 1,000-slayer Manor was killed by you guys?" Although he used the word you guys, his gaze was fixed on Yunxi. In his opinion, only Yunxi's strength was worth mentioning. The others were not worth mentioning. Among them, there was even a 6th-layer martial dominator realm cultivator. "I didn't kill him!" Yunxi shook her head. "Not you?" The noble young man was startled. "It's him, he killed him!" At that instant, Yun Kai pointed at Lu Ming and blurted out. The noble young man was startled, before he glanced at Lu Ming and said in astonishment, "It's you? A mere 6th-layer martial dominator realm cultivator was able to kill an assassin of the 1,000-slayer Manor? Interesting. A 6th-layer martial dominator realm cultivator was able to kill an assassin of the 1,000-slayer Manor. Interesting indeed. Young master, let me test him and see what he's capable of." Another purple-clothed young man beside the noble young man said. The noble young man nodded his head. The purple-clothed young man stepped forward as a powerful aura burst out from his body. Peak 8th-layer martial dominator realm. This purple-clothed young man's cultivation was slightly weaker than the one that Yunxi had fought before. "Kid, come and fight me. I would like to see what kind of special abilities you have." The purple-clothed young man glanced at Lu Ming. Lu Ming rose into the air as a powerful battle intent burst out from his body. He was eager to see how powerful the secret technique of the Wan clan was. "Kid, you go first. Use your full strength at the end, or you won't have the chance," the purple-clothed young man calmly said with a disdainful look. A 6th-layer martial dominator realm cultivator was nothing in his eyes. He was only curious that Lu Ming was able to kill an assassin of the 1,000-slayer Manor. Otherwise, with his cultivation, he would not challenge a 6th-layer martial dominator realm cultivator, as it would not serve as a training ground for him. Bang! Lu Ming was too lazy to waste his time. Since the young man had asked him to make the first move, he immediately made his move. He executed the heavenly art of hell and threw a punch in the direction of the purple-clothed young man. The space trembled as the terrifying force of the punch suppressed the air, forming a terrifying wave of air that surged toward the young man. The young man's expression changed tremendously. The power of Lu Ming's punch had completely exceeded his expectations. A spot of light appeared in between his eyebrows. A huge axe flew out and slashed toward Lu Ming. Clang! The fist collided with the axe, causing the young man's body to tremble violently as he was knocked a few steps back. "So that's all you've got?" Lu Ming calmly said. "Die!" The young man let out a roar as 6 light dots appeared on his body. 6 mystical weapons of different colors appeared. Together with the battle axe from before, there were a total of 7 mystical weapons, all of which were martial dominator realm. The 7 martial dominator realm weapons floated around the young man as the auras of the weapons merged with one another and gathered on the battle axe. "Die!" The young man let out a roar as he slashed at Lu Ming with the battle axe in his hand. The power of his attack was stronger than before. The flowing force gauntlet covered his hand as his chi surged into it, causing it to feel as heavy as a mountain. Bang! Lu Ming punched out once again. This time, the young man was knocked back again as he was suppressed by Lu Ming. Although the young man's cultivation was 2 levels higher than Lu Ming's and his battle skills were extremely powerful, his spiritual body was still a superior Earth spiritual body. Lu Ming was able to defeat, or even kill such a genius back at the treasure sorting convention. Now that Lu Ming had used a sacred weapon, he could easily suppress the young man. "Die!" The young man let out a frenzied roar. He couldn't accept that he was suppressed in 2 consecutive moves. Chapter 1596. Another light spot lit up in his body. This time, there were 10 light spots at once, and another 10 Emperor-level spirit weapons flew out. 17 Emperor-level weapons floated in the air. The aura of the weapons was extremely dense and gathered on the battle axe. It made the young man's aura extremely strong. Kill! 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 The young man in purple robes shouted. His eyes were filled with cold, killing intent. He wanted to kill Lu Ming to redeem his face. He took a step forward, surrounded by his weapons. The giant axe was swung out as if it could split the sky. You want to kill me? Lu Ming's eyes flashed with a sharp light. More true yuan poured into the flowing element glove. The flowing element glove shone like a small sun. Boom! He threw out a punch that could crush everything. Dong! 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 Lu Ming exchanged 3 moves with his opponent. After each move, his opponent had to take 3 steps back. After 3 moves, his opponent had to take 9 steps back. Kill! Lu Ming shouted. The power of the divine sword art exploded. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. 2 black swords shot out from his eyes and rushed into the young man in purple robes. The young man's body trembled and his eyes lost focus for a moment. Boom! At this moment, Lu Ming threw out another punch. This punch was as easy as crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. At the critical moment, although the other party used his battle axe to block it, there was a limit to the amount of energy he could muster. The battle axe was sent flying by Lu Ming's punch. He retreated wildly and vomited blood. Whoosh! Lu Ming took a big step forward, wanting to defeat his opponent in 1 move. Enough! The noble young man frowned. A cold light flashed in his eyes as he took a step forward. Boom! This step seemed to shake the heavens and earth. A terrifying force rushed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming's face changed. He threw out a punch, but it was useless. He could not break through the force. When the force rushed over, Lu Ming's body slid back a few thousand meters. What? Taking turns to fight? If one doesn't work too? Lu Ming sneered. Taking turns to fight? Ha! What a joke! The noble young man clasped his hands behind his back and stood in the air. His body exuded a terrifying pressure that bore down on Lu Ming. It was like a divine weapon that wanted to break through the heavens and slash apart the world. Lu Ming covered his entire body with his primal chaos domain, resisting the pressure with all his might. Your strength is not bad, but a mere 6th-layer martial dominator realm is not worthy enough to fight me, the noble young man said indifferently. His tone was filled with confidence and disdain for Lu Ming. Lu Ming was not worthy of fighting with him. After saying this, the noble young man looked at the young man who had been injured by Lu Ming and said, Cultivate well in the future and strive to break through. The next time you see this person, you will kill him with your own hands. Do you understand? Understood, young master. The young man in purple bowed in response. His gaze towards Lu Ming was filled with icy cold killing intent. Let's go. The noble young man withdrew his aura and soared into the sky. That was right, as he had mentioned, Lu Ming's cultivation was too weak to fight him. He was not even interested in fighting him. In the blink of an eye, the noble young man and the 2 young men in purple disappeared from the crowd's sight. Meanwhile, Yun Kai, Yun Feng, and the others glanced at Lu Ming with great fear. Lu Ming was able to defeat a genius of the 8th-layer martial dominator realm from the Wan clan. His strength had exceeded their expectations. Although Yun Kai's cultivation was also at the peak of the 8th-layer martial dominator realm, he believed that he would not stand a chance against the geniuses of the Wan clan. However, Lu Ming was able to defeat him, implying that his strength was stronger than his. Yun Shi glanced at Lu Ming with a complicated expression. She was no match against the geniuses of the Wan clan, but Lu Ming was able to defeat the geniuses of the Wan clan with a gap of 2 layers. His strength was unbelievable. Farewell. At that instant, Lu Ming glanced at Yun Shi and brought his fists together, planning to leave on his own. It was more convenient for him to move on his own. Lu Ming, the Thousand Assassins sect, was established by the Thousand Assassins martial monarch. Its strength is incredible, with countless experts, especially at the 100-tribe battlefield. Be careful. Yun Shi could not bear it and reminded Lu Ming. Thanks, I'll be careful, Lu Ming said. Lu Ming, there are cities built by locals at the 100-tribe battlefield. If you were to enter the cities, the people of the Thousand Assassins sect would be cautious and not dare to cross the line, Yun Shi reminded. Lu Ming nodded. Not everyone at the 100-tribe battlefield was an outsider like them. There were locals too. In truth, the natives were not pure natives. They were all people who had entered the 100-race battlefield in the distant past. Some of them had stayed in the 100-race battlefield forever and never left. They had taken root in the 100-race battlefield and reproduced. Over time, more and more people came to the 100-tribe battlefield. These people were called locals. Moreover, the natives had been living in the 100-race battlefield since they were young. They were already used to the chaotic laws and could adapt to them. Therefore, some natives with peerless talent were able to break through to the sane realm in the 100-race battlefield without dying or going crazy because of the chaotic laws. However, the restrictions on the 100-tribe battlefield were great. Therefore, the strongest of the locals could only cultivate to the bright saint realm. It was almost impossible for them to break through to the great saint realm. These local saint realm experts would build cities and establish forces on the 100-tribe battlefield. Killing was generally forbidden in these cities. Therefore, if anyone violated the rules, the local saint realm experts might act and kill the violator. Therefore, there were no rules on the 100-tribe battlefield, but there were still some rules in those cities. Of course, things were not absolute. If one was strong enough, one could kill others in the city and quickly escape the city. Even the saints could not do anything about it. But at least it was much safer than outside the city. Therefore, Yun Shi suggested that Lu Ming go to the city. Lu Ming did not say anything more. He turned and stepped into the air, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Humph, with the slaughter mark on him, he will definitely not be able to reach the nearest city. He will definitely be found and killed by the 1,000-killer manner. Yun Kai sneered. Yun Shi looked at Yun Kai with some disgust, then turned and left. Whoosh whoosh, Lu Ming controlled the black feather wings and moved forward at an extremely fast speed. Soon, he had flown tens of thousands of miles. The 100-tribe battlefield has gathered the geniuses of many emperor-level forces. Almost all of them are geniuses with superior earthly spiritual bodies. In the depths of the 100-tribe battlefield, there are even geniuses who have cultivated to the heavenly spiritual body. There are too many geniuses. My cultivation is too weak. I must break through as soon as possible. Lu Ming had many thoughts in his mind. Lu Ming's weakness had always been his cultivation. He came from a remote island, and the cultivation environment was not good. Compared to the geniuses of Yuanlu, his cultivation was much weaker. He had comprehended the primal chaos domain. He did not fear anyone at the same level. It's time to find a place to break through. Lu Ming looked around. After flying for tens of thousands of miles, Lu Ming flew toward a large mountain. Then, the primal chaos domain turned into the earth domain. Lu Ming directly rushed into the mountain. Just like the earth escape technique, there was no change on the surface of the mountain. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.